Because so it's fair to say, Kirk Cousins, the Falcons, there's no beef involved.
No, and I don't think there can be. I don't think it's helpful. Like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl, and it's hard enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Bussin with the Boys. This is episode 276, and I want to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's the Chevy Silverado. Bussin with the Boys is presented by Chevy. This is a Chevy truck podcast, the greatest truck ever built, and our good friends at Chevrolet have been a big part of the Bussin family and even our personal lives. Chevy Silverado, longtime awesome partner of the show, a truck with commanding and unstoppable grit, legendary capability, and dependability too. So if you find yourself like so many of us, head over to Chevy.com to check out all the Chevy trucks, grit, and build your own Silverado. For do-it-yourself projects to road trips, off-road adventures to tailgates, whatever your thing is, it all starts with a Chevy truck. Tough start to my reading on this episode, but you know what? That's what we do sometimes. We are so excited to have you here. Big podcast this week. A gentleman by the name of Kirk Cousins joins us in Atlanta. You want to open that gate up, the door up for Sammy?
Yes. Come on in, Sammy.
Let's give a round of applause.
Sammy, our Black Friday winner.
Black Friday winner, Sammy, baby. Let me just give you a little piece of the character of Sammy. I show up before our meeting before we had a podcast just before this episode, and Sammy's sitting up there. Say hello to him, say what's up. There is sitting 2 big bags of Chick-fil-A and enough vanilla lattes to give to a whole family. It was incredible. Came Kirk. Sammy,
what's up?
Appreciate you being on the show, brother.
Thanks for having me.
And you drove down from Chicago today, is that true?
Central Illinois, yeah, but I'm from Chicago. Yeah.
Central Illinois. How long is that drive?
I left this morning at 2:30
in the morning.
2:30 in the morning.
Why didn't you just come down the day before?
Mother's Day.
Fair.
Yeah. Once again, adding to your character, sir. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Give us an indicator. Give me a little backstory on you real quick.
Yes.
Age. Obviously, you're from Chicago. And how old were you when you lost your virginity?
I'm 34, born and raised in Illinois. But unfortunately, I'm not given a ton of opportunities to be fans of good football. So I, was it 2010? Or no, 2001. When the Oilers moved from Houston to Tennessee, the Tennessee Oilers for a year or whatever. But I needed a football team. And the Titans were a perfect kind of mold there, I guess. I liked uniforms. I liked Steve McNair, Frank Wycheck, Eddie George, the whole team there. Jeff Fisher was my guy. So long story short, I was a stoolie in 2011. And then once you kind of join the mothership, if you will, it seemed like a perfect synergy between the two brands, and I've been a fan ever since.
I love that, man.
Let's give this man another round of applause for that
Just
answer. That was incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely incredible.
It was big time. You walk upstairs and you see all the Chick-fil-A. You didn't come empty-handed.
My mom has always taught us never walk into a house empty-handed. And
that's a great tip.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a shout-out, no free shout-out.
It really is. Yeah. It truly
when
is.
people don't come empty-handed.
Yeah.
Great shout-out, no free shout-out.
Great shout-out. Is this everything you thought it would be coming on the bus?
It's definitely surreal.
Yeah.
I mean, we've met a couple times. Barstool Awards, Vegas, Scottsdale, maybe. And it's just, but seeing this whole operation is just insane to see live.
And you're wearing the shirt that you wanted to be a part of. You were saying you wanted to gamble with us in Vegas.
Perhaps I might have brought some money too.
What's that?
Today. I might have brought some money today. We'll talk.
There's
we
no
can talk about
casinos here.
I know.
Do we have a deck of cards?
No.
You could be the house.
No.
That is nuts. It sounds like you have a proposition for me.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Whether it's, obviously you guys are slam full in June with obligations, but a power slap down the road, I will take care of all my, travel, transport, all that stuff, hotel. I would love an opportunity to be in the tunnel of chaos though at some point. That's a huge ask. I get that.
It's a big ask, and I love
that
you're doing it on the bus.
That's
too.
why
just Taylor in the eyes.
I brought the 10K. for whatever I would put on the table. If I lose it, I lose it. I do not care about the money. It's the fact that someone once told me that a victorious warrior wins first and then they go to war.
Yeah.
Rather than losers go to war seeking to win. So I came here today with maybe an opportunity to win.
So you're going to come
You
on this
gotta
bus.
love that
You're going to
speech
come on
right
this
there.
bus. You're going to bring Chick-fil-A, some vanilla lattes, have good vibes,
And
tell
10
us a good
grand.
story. 10 grand. And you're going to drop a Sun Tzu quote on me from The Art of War? That's what you're going to do right now?
You told me that in Vegas.
That's also incredible. Yeah.
We can
okay.
talk about it.
No, we don't have to talk about anything. At some point, we can go. You can come to a Power Slap event. All that stuff. You, me, Jackie, and whoever else wants to come, because Jack is the biggest Power Slap fan of all of them.
He's the road.
He's
He's the road dog, man.
He loves it. I can promise you this. You and I can gamble together. You can use as much as that $10,000 you want. I can't promise that you're going to gamble with Dana White. Is that fair?
Yeah. I don't care about that. I don't care about content or anything like that. I just want
the experience.
I want to go to war.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I really want to go to war. I've been
Yeah,
a
dude.
gambler since I don't know, since I turned 21. It's my
That's
21st
a
in
smart thing to
Vegas.
say.
It's a
yeah.
smart answer.
21.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely did have a bookie that
13
lived in
years of
Toronto
getting after
2
it.
years before that. Yeah, I mean, I know you just kind of fell in love with it, but it's been in my blood all my life, and I love it, and just the thrill and the whole part about being in the trenches with the boys. There's nothing better.
I mean, you
It's
can't
another
say
shout
no
out,
to
no free
that.
shout out.
You can't say no to that.
Favorite, here we go. It's a test. Favorite sports betting app.
Oh, DraftKings.
Love
I love
no question.
DraftKings when it shouldn't have been DraftKings, when it was the other guy, and I would happen to have to use, like I put like $1 on the other app, and then I'd use all the other money on DraftKings.
Nice.
Just make sure I was supporting the boys a little bit.
I
Nice.
love
Yeah.
that, dude.
Just the same game parlays, all the stuff that DraftKings has, it's way better than any other app.
And just for everybody watching, listening right now, wherever you're getting your podcast, make sure you are subscribed. Sammy, he was our Black Friday winner, one of our big spenders last year, who's joining us for a day basically at the shop. For everybody who came for Kirk Cousins, that is in due time. It was a phenomenal interview. We talked to him about the quarterback, Netflix coming out, a fan favorite.
His love for Legos.
His love for Lego, scratching that itch. Rex Grossman, like,
Yeah.
hey, spend some money. Kirk is very much a laced up. Maybe one day he'll buy himself a watch or something.
Right. He's made $1 billion and he's thinking about possibly buying a sports car someday. Truly, like we've had him on the podcast before and it was great. But something about this interview, he just seems so much more loose, so much more relaxed. When you expect it to kind of be the polar opposite after the whole Penix pick at 8 and all of that, like
Which we get into with
he
him.
was awesome.
Dude,
he was
really
absolutely
was, man.
incredible.
Talking about the Achilles, like the move from Minnesota, choosing Atlanta, not re-signing with Minnesota. We got into a lot of stuff, and you're right. Like afterwards, it's like he's a role model cat.
He is. We said this on the drive back from Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is a guy you and your boys who are going out partying with in college make fun of. You make fun of Kirk Cousins when you're in college. Like, this guy, he doesn't do anything. He's such a square, this, that, and the other. Fast forward 32, 34 years old, you think Kirk Cousins is the guy you want to be like.
Yeah.
That he just represents what it is to be a family man, to be a professional, the way he handles himself. I have a lot of admiration for Kirk Cousins, especially after this interview.
Yeah, and a leader, man. It's like even when he's somebody that you say you're in college with and say, oh, he does this, like he's kind of a square, yada, yada. You're ultimately saying that, but you know deep down that's how you should be handling yourself.
Right, exactly.
And you just don't have you don't have the discipline and the wherewithal to be about
Exactly.
it. So it's easier to just make fun of it and laugh at it. But you know that we should all be that. We should all strive to be like Kirk Cousins.
Now, obviously, we were super excited to have Kirk Cousins on the show, but the thing that Kirk was most excited about being on the show was explaining to us that quarter socks are back.
yeah.
Absolutely loved
Damn,
those
we should have
socks.
wore some quarter socks.
We should have. I'm wearing ankle socks right now like some sort of 2023 bitch, dude. I'm not with the times.
Maybe we should do it with him.
Go back to
Because
quarter
Fred
socks?
Warner does it.
And if Fred Warner doesn't, that's cool.
Yeah.
Fred Warner's a guy, when you see him, you're just like, this guy looks cool. He just is a cool looking cat.
Yeah.
He's got the
that,
build, but he's also got the dreads hanging out. He's got a little style to him.
the swag.
That's a guy you want to follow because he's not too over the top. You're like, I can never pull that off.
Yeah.
He's a dude that like, I can maybe do a little bit of that and get some residuals.
And then you just so happen to see quarter socks on him and you're like, those do kind of go hard.
Yeah, they kind of are nice. I wonder
Maybe.
what's setting those shoes off right now. Quarter socks. That's exactly what it's got to
I think
be.
we should do it.
All right.
I got some small white ones on right now.
You got some. Those aren't quarters though. Those are ankle boys.
Yeah. And the
You
quarter ones would probably
They have
help.
to go over that little knot.
Yeah, it would happen. It would be better suited for this news we received over the weekend of we're pregnant. The dad vibe. We are pregnant. There's a lot of hearsay, a lot up for interpretation on the apps. On Will looks disappointed. He's bummed that it's a girl. I know I put the guy that looked excited and he's smiling but has a gun to his head.
Right.
There's a lot up for interpretation, but I will say this. I am disappointed. And it was one of those things like,
you okay? You're doubling down.
yeah, for sure. I mean, my wife, she was surprised just like me. Your boy, it's more of like, because I was telling you even before, I felt like I was separated enough from being pregnant, because I think we're at like 12 weeks right now or 13 weeks. Separated enough to be like, yo, if I get another Rue, like, I'm playing with house money. Like, I'd be satisfied. I'd be solid. Like, do I actually want a boy, yada, yada. And it was when I saw that pink to where I realized how badly I did want a boy. And not that it's necessarily, there's no chances for having a boy, because I could obviously take that risk again. But also it's like, I didn't know if I wanted 3.
Right.
And now that pink came out, I'm going to have 2 girls. I almost am certain that we have to go for 3 to go for the boy. So that was part of my disappointment on my face too. It's like, now we got to go 3. And I don't know. I don't think I was ready. I don't think I wanted 3.
Right.
You hear everybody, once you're outnumbered, it's war at the
you're
house.
playing zone the whole time.
Yeah.
What you just explained is how middle child syndrome develops. Everything you just said. Like, I don't know what this child's name's going to be, what her personality's going to be like. I'm sure she's going to be great if she's anything like Rue.
Yeah.
However, when that third and probably boy comes out, that's why they call the middle child the forgotten child.
Especially if she listens to this episode of her old man.
Yeah.
Just being
literally sat there with my
sweetheart.
wife and we were scrolling through your Instagram Sunday night, and she goes, if we have another girl, you can't post that. I was like, why? That's funny. Like, funny's funny. That's what funny is.
Yeah.
She's like, but our daughter, if it is a daughter, which by the way, now that like women, when they get their periods, they like Bluetooth sync up when they're always together. They do that.
Yeah.
And they all get on the same period schedule. I am a firm belief that men that hang out together, we also sync up. I'm doomed to have another girl.
We're on the same sperm cycle.
Yes, we're on the same sperm cycle right now.
You can break the mold.
Don't say that. I'm trying to reverse psychology of the universe. Like, hey, there's no shot I'm going to have a boy. Am I right? You know?
But are you openly playing the joke in the game? Because here's the only thing.
I
only thing I'll
openly said the
caution
joke.
is I felt like I was separate enough to where I was like, I'm not going to be, I wouldn't be too disappointed.
My
because
wife-
girls rip.
My wife, oh, by the way, the reason why Taylor said that is because eventually she's going to see that. She's going to see that post
Right,
and she's going to be
right.
upset. Anyway, onward. I've already told my wife I will genuinely be disappointed if it's a girl. Genuinely, I will. And then I'll be happy because it's a girl, it's a healthy baby. We can scratch off all those boxes that all people say when they're trying to be politically correct about having a kid. We want a healthy baby, blah, blah, blah. That's all that matters. True. I want a boy. I feel like I need a boy. I just want to feel what the other side of the fence is like. I want to see how green that grass is. God, I didn't even touch it that time.
You tipped it.
I tipped it.
Yeah.
Better?
That was unnecessary.
I was making sure the mic worked. I wasn't even doing that.
Stay
I was
focused,
just making sure the mic
focused.
worked.
The boy.
I just want a boy.
Every competitive male wants a boy.
Right.
They want offspring. They want an heir
And
to
you
the
do the
throne.
thing- and
To the throne.
The thing that bothers me the most is watching you and your process of you and Charles getting pregnant and you stopping from the sauna, only doing the cold, like reading the literature on how to have a boy. And I'm like, he's really going to pull it off, to the point where we're coming back after doing this podcast with Kirk Cousins. I'm thinking there's no shot this man's going to have a girl, because we had a full conversation about boy, girl, blah, blah, this, that, and the other, just having a good convo.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my head, no fucking shot Will's having a girl. Like, he's for sure going to have a boy.
Dude.
And in my selfish mind, I'm thinking that means I have a shot to have a boy.
If I break the mold, then it'll
Yeah,
just
because
be
we're
a domino
Bluetooth synced
effect.
up.
Yeah.
We've got to be Bluetooth synced up. We're around each other way too much.
But now you have to break the mold, man. I don't know, whatever it takes, bro. And I stopped sauning for how many months? Like
40
all last year,
at
I
least
didn't.
45 days.
When I learned that it took 45 days, like if you expose yourself to heat, you can kill off your sperm, and it takes 45 days for it to just get back to baseline. Because there's a part of me that's like, okay, I won't hit the sauna like a week out from ovulation, during ovulation, but then I'll hit the sauna right after, because then I'll know I'll have another month or another few weeks. Because
Yeah.
you're trying to tap into the biohacking,
Yeah.
and get your T levels up.
which makes you also believe that maybe biohacking isn't real.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
And then I do all those things, and I'm like, months not hitting the sauna, because I'm like, not heating the seat up, not hitting the hot tub,
Right.
not staying in a hot shower too long, all those things. And I'm just thinking, like, we gotta have a boy.
I know. I know, dude.
But we're excited.
I'm excited for
We need girl dads to unite. You're
Gotta
one.
unite.
I'm gonna need you to write me, whether it's a mini book, a big book. I'm gonna need something about fathering to girls, what to look for, what to watch out for. Hey, don't do this like me. Like, be better than me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need this handbook from you, and I need dads to unite because look, being a girl dad rips. I think having Rue and having a daughter, I'm like, oh, every guy that is going to become a dad, I hope we all get a girl because having a girl is the best.
It's incredible.
But now knowing I'm outnumbered, Waffle's a girl, and my wife thankfully is a girl, and now I'm going to have Rue and she who has not been named, and it's like I'm going to be surrounded by all this estrogen. And God bless you if you happen to get a third. I hate putting that in the universe. But that is where guys go silent. They get so outnumbered, and that's how they just become these men that sit in the corner at all holidays and
If
just
you could even call them men.
yeah. And they just get snipped, bro. And you'll probably get snipped, but you'll also get snipped. Your soul will get snipped.
Yeah.
And you'll just be that quiet dad at parties, and it's gonna be like, whatever happened to Taylor? And it's gonna be like, he had all those girls, man. His voice just can't be heard at home. He's too. They've led him to believe
Stop.
that he is too stupid to
All right.
talk.
You're
And now
scaring
he's
me.
just like, now you're scared to even say a word at any of these parties.
Please.
Because even when we have fun and we're laughing, we're having a good time, like, man, it was good to see Taylor. Your drive home is just going to be like, so you really went ahead and said that about, when Willow, or Willow speaks up, you really said that about so-and-so. And you're just a herd mentality. You just get put back in the corner. And it's scary. And I feel for those girl dads out there. We need to unite. We need to talk about these things.
Listen, don't ever do what you just did again. Because right now you're talking about how excited you are about a situation that I'm already in. Knowing that there's hope down the road because you've already decided in your head you're going to have a 3. I'm already staring at the barrel of a gun having 2 little girls and knowing that this is my last shot at happiness. And you're going to do that.
I'm sorry, bro. I've experienced these dads that I come to learn. I'm like, oh, these are these are guys.
These are good men.
But you never know about it until it's like, oh yeah, he's an outdoorsman. He goes hunting all the time. He does this. He chops wood. And you're like, well, why don't I ever see that guy? And it's like, well, look at the environment. He's surrounded. He's been snipped from the soul, and you got to bring it out of him.
I hate here's what we need to do.
If you do have a third, I will make it my mission.
I'm gonna have a
neither
third.
of us get snipped. Our souls get snipped. To stand strong, to stand up.
Can I ask you this question? I got to pivot out of this.
Okay.
I got to get out of here.
I know it's like I'm making it about you and having a third girl.
Yeah. Congratulations, by
Yeah,
the way.
thank you, thank you.
Congratulations on you. and
We
your
are
wife.
fired up. We are very fired up.
Allegedly. I do have to leave in a few seconds.
yeah, you're right.
actually. Should I wait when Taylor gets pregnant? Should I wait until the baby comes out? Or
Taylor.
should I?
You did hit it. You did touch it. But what happened? What happens?
What
when
is
that-
it?
It's the cable's fucked up. I gotta play with it.
Can we get a new cable?
How's that?
Sorry for raising
Is
my
that
voice
better?
right there, but I'm just
Is that
thinking
better?
we're in the trenches right now. We come back to the sidelines like, well, can we
Hey,
get
is
a new
that better?
fucking iPad?
Is
That's
that
better.
better?
That's better.
Okay. And this is for the group. Sammy, you can chime in if you want to. Do I wait to find out the sex of the baby until birth, or should I do it at the 12-week mark?
Birth.
I got one birth.
It's not a question for me. That's you, man.
Oh, Sammy, that's such a cop out.
Sammy, that's the thing about busting with the boys, brother. We're a team
Fine.
here.
Yeah,
We're a team.
you know ahead of time. You got to know.
Okay,
ahead of
so
time.
I got 1-1. I want to hear you last.
Okay.
Have you waited ever before, or have you done 12-week mark both for Win and Willow?
12-week mark both. The first time I actually found out, I asked the doctor, and I was like, hey, is the sex of my child on that sheet? And they go, yep, says girl here. So anyway, what we're looking at, and I was like livid about that situation. The second one, I wanted to wait. We get the card, and I know that it's in the envelope. And you know me, I'm gonna stare at this unopened card, knowing there's information there that I want.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, I have never waited for the delivery.
I think you wait solely because at 12-week mark, it's a lot easier to be disappointed when you see your child being born, regardless if it's a boy or girl. I think the emotion will take over. You're not gonna be upset at birth, even if it's a girl.
I think you're wrong.
All right.
I think you're wrong because having 2 kids, having your first
I've
kid,
never had a kid, so I don't fucking know.
like having your first kid is like everything's so new. Everything's so new. You're experiencing so much. Everyone's like, it's magical, blah, blah. Everyone's so excited to hear the news. What's the kid, blah, blah, blah. The second time you have a kid, your second kid it's not less special to you, but it's like more normalized to everybody else. Oh, they're having their second kid. And then by the time you get to the third kid, it's like, hey, congrats, I guess. Like, you guys about to be outnumbered. It's more becomes a burden to other people around you saying, hey, it's going to be tough.
Yeah,
I don't
cares
think-
what they say.
I know. I'm just saying like the excitement.
Just dad's talking.
The excitement of that feels like it goes away when you're watching from a bird's eye view of how everybody
Safe
kind of
space.
operates. Safe space.
Dad's
I don't-
talking.
I don't
And-
actually think you'd be able to wait though.
I don't think I would
Hey,
either.
Jack, but
however.
I do. We definitely appreciate that perspective because that's a real perspective that parents have. It's like once it happens, it's like that is the beauty or the positivity or the silver lining of doing something like that. My
Yeah.
question to you before I answer: would you rather take one to the head or 7 to the chest?
One to the head.
Then wait, because then you just take it right then and there.
All
That's
right.
a good point.
And then if you take 7, you do it at 12-week mark. You're just taking them to the chest. Yeah, you have time to kind of wrap your head around and everything else, but you won't have enough time
Why didn't you
during
wait?
the birth.
You like?
I was excited to
misery?
see the boy. I was excited to see the blue.
I told
Great
Taylor-
point. Maybe the next time we will wait.
Yeah, for your third, are you gonna wait?
Do what?
For your third, are you gonna wait? Maybe you guys make a pact to wait.
He ain't even got 2 out yet. For the third, you gonna wait?
Yeah, we'll make a pact. If I have a third, I will wait as well.
But I'll wait too.
Yeah, you basically have to decide. Oh, I mean, you
Here's
guys
the
aren't
issue.
pregnant yet.
Here's the issue. Is like there's another person involved with making the child that might have to find out.
Listen, I think women are easily on board with that.
See, Taylor's against it. I've actually
Really?
had this conversation with her, and she said, I want to get like the nursery set up. Like that's, she enjoys that. The nesting period is what they call it for the women that are pregnant. Like they love getting the room ready. And I told her, I was like, if I wait, I'm not going in that room. I don't want to see anything. And I'll have to, essentially, Taylor will now know the information that I will not know.
Okay, devil's advocate,
Go ahead.
because I feel like you guys are both kind of this way. You guys usually do like neutralish style colors.
That's true.
You could easily shape up the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the vibe of your house is very much like a good natural
yeah,
tones.
yeah. Browns and grays.
Yeah.
Earthy.
Earthy colors. You could do something like that.
Unearthed.
Just talk to the wife and maybe we'll have the pack next week. Because I'd be scared too.
No, I'm not going to talk to her about it. Go ahead. I'm in. I'm in.
Okay, twisted question very quick.
Yeah,
I
gotta go.
I'll do the Ed, but Taylor's got to go and we want him to answer the twisted question. Brought to us by Twisted Tea. There's zero carbonation, so it's easier to go smooth down. Great for tailgating, great for game day, full of flavor, very refreshing. It's the perfect alcohol beverage for game day. Keep it twisted with the Twisted Kings. Again, it goes down insanely smooth. 5% ABV. Keep it twisted with the boys. Grab a refreshing Twisted Tea today. Mitch. Did you not have it ready?
Mitch, I got to go.
I do. This is one I've had in the bank for a long time, and I feel like we've maybe have sort of done something along the lines. Would you rather listen to your least favorite song on repeat or never listen to music ever again?
Never listen to music again. I have to go.
So the only song you do get to listen to is the worst song on repeat?
Your least favorite song?
Just that's the only song you get to listen to forever.
Yes. Maybe
I
okay.
mean-
Maybe do your least favorite album.
You understand how that's a bad question? Maybe.
Yeah, I do. I'm getting defensive.
I know. I take it easy.
Here's what I need you to do, Mitch. I need you to take a couple of these Lucy breakers. I need you to lock in next time we
Yeah,
have a twisted
lock the
question,
fuck
because
in,
that is
dude.
insane. That's wild. Love you, right? You know we love you, right?
Yeah.
Don't ever
sometimes.
trust us. You need to figure out that twisted question.
I know I do.
I love you, boys. I gotta go. Sammy, it was so great meeting you. Yes, you have the pen.
It's out there.
You guys go ahead and go. Both of you guys go, and you can come back on just whenever. Don't worry about
Perfect.
interrupting. Thank you, brother.
Love you.
Love you too, man. Enjoy what's to come. It's gonna be all right, guys?
Yeah, it's gonna be
Or
alright.
having a dog.
Dude, it's gonna be great. I truly like at this point. Number one, I've already accepted and embraced it, but being a girl dad, I feel like I'm built for being a girl dad.
Think about it from the view of capitalism. We are a girl dad pod, and if you had a boy, we would have to change some things. Maybe sell some more stuff, but right now the brand is the brand.
You're right. However, I was excited to maybe do our announcement by holding the boy mom hats.
Oh,
Because
That
that's
would've been
one where
fun.
we still got, and by the way, everybody who's looking for our boy mom merch, I believe that's going to be restocked here in a couple weeks. But as far as dads and girl dads uniting on this front, we have all of our Father's Day merch. That line has dropped. We have some Carhartt hoodies, which would go great for your old man, especially come fall time when it's hunting season.
or Father's Day.
Or Father's Day, yeah. Get out, get ahead. As far as golf polos, golf gear, hats, different style of hats. We're with the 47 brand now. I'm wearing one as we speak. These Q-zips feel incredible. Proud girl dads, we got to unite. And look, I know, like, we talk disappointment, we might be laughing, and then, like, you know, your wife or somebody might be like, hey, what if the daughter sees this? We're in a safe space having a good time on the bus. I'm being vulnerable with the dads out there right now, with the audience out there listening. I am very excited about having another daughter. I am so curious which I feel like every parent thinks about, is what they're going to look like. Are they going to be similar to Rue? Is she going to come out? She's just going to have dark hair. Like, we're stoked for that. It is awesome. And Charo, my wife, she was just as surprised as the boy, more in like a laughing way, like looking at my reaction and everything like that. But throughout the entire day, I had to tell my wife, like, hey, can you put Rue down? I need to go work out. I had to go to Boost, get some work in. I ran 2 miles on Sunday. I was like, I got to continue to sweat. And it's just like, I had to work it out. But every time we'd be driving, she'd be like, babe, if it feels any better to you, like, there was zero part of me that thought we were going to have a girl. Like, she was ready to, like, be a boy mom. It just felt like the stars were aligned. Before we got the cake out, and Rue, she had all the opposite symptoms from the first one. So like a mother's tale, that kind of tells you that it could be a boy or a different gender because you're not experiencing the same symptoms, like as far as sickness and everything else. And Rue was saying brother more. Rue was saying boy more. So you're kind of like leaning into some of those. It'd be like, hey, what'd you dream about last night? Like when we wake her up, she would even say like brother and stuff like that. So there was just a weird, and again, I feel like I had that separation to where I wasn't going to care like I thought I was going to, as far as like, oh man, we're going to have 3 now type of thing, or go for 3. God willing that God would give me a boy, give me an heir. But also when I was getting out the cake to cut it and do our little thing together, there was Rue's blue sippy cup was sitting out. She was on her dark green passy. I just felt like I'm about to see blue here, boys. Like, we're really about to have a boy. I'm going to have to wrap my head around now becoming a boy dad and those fears of like, okay, I know how I've been with Rue. I hope I can stay in this same empathetic, wrapped around the finger and not be too hard on the little pup. Like all dads, I feel like get nervous about with raising their son. And then when it was pink, bro, you saw the reaction. Mitch can put up the photos and stuff, but
we had it up earlier.
It was a shock. But we are very excited. I mean, it's still fairly early. We've gotten out of the first trimester. Knock on wood that everything still goes well according to plan and everything else, and that we do have a healthy child, because it'll be sick. Like, Rue will have a best friend forever. I mean, you get to see Win and Willow play with each other now, because kids don't really like playing with each other until they're like 3. But now that Willow's 3 going on 4, and you see how she interacts with Win and how Win interacts with her, like, and you hear Taylor talk about it and Taylor talk about it, very fired up to Rue to have like a best friend, because we have neighbors who have a 2 and 3-year-old. And anytime they're outside playing, like, you see Rue standing there, like, wanting to go over and hang out. And you just see the dynamic between the brother and sister just playing with each other. And they always got each other, to where, you know, babysitters, you kind of got, like, Rue kind of goes through her thing. If it's a new babysitter, we get really sad because we feel like she thinks we're leaving her forever with this person. Now with this new one coming in, Rue will be able to teach her or be around her, and she'll just have a playmate, dude. And it's going to be sick and awesome. So to say a lot of positive things about this, because I don't want to make it a joke and like I'm disappointed the entire time, for the wives out there or the girlfriends to stop making their boys listen to the podcast. But it's going to be awesome, man. A couple announcements. Our live show, June 12th at Zany's Comedy Club in Nashville. The boys will be doing a live show. I believe the show is around 7 p.m.
I think it's 7.
Yeah, we will continue to post about it on our social media. So _Will Compton, Taylor 177, or at Bussin WTB. We're going to continue to post about it. Make sure you get tickets. I don't know how the links work on YouTube. If we could put a link up, but go buy those tickets. I do believe that our VIP might be sold out already, but we still have
there's 50 tickets left for
50 tickets left.
General admission.
50 tickets left. So if you're listening to this right now, Zany's holds about 250. If you're thinking about going, if you want to go and you're in the Nashville area, come enjoy a live show with the boys. We're doing stuff. We have some differences in our show that we had the first time, where we had Ernest and Jelly on. I do believe we're going to try to get like a guest or two to join us throughout the stuff, but we do some fun things with our live show. But we will be at Zany's Comedy Club on June 12th. I've already talked about our Father's Day merch. Our Father's Day line is out. Buy that up, so that way it gets here in time before Father's Day. what else do we have, man? I know Kirk.
Speaking about positivity, did you see this news? Nebraska night game.
Ooh, Colorado at Nebraska is a night game, 6:30 p.m. Central Time on NBC. Look, everybody knows that I'm excited about Husker football. Everybody knows that I think we're going to have a big year. I think we're going to have a surprisingly big year that falls in line with the expectation of Nebraska, but surprises everybody else. I think the boys are cooking up something special. We just landed this 4-star quarterback over the weekend, which, again, just speaks to, number one, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, it's sick that they had this kid commit when you have a 5-star and a 4-star that just committed in the last recruiting class in Nebraska. It just kind of shows the culture and everything that they're building over there. We hope that it's like stuff like this, the trickle down effect, to where you have, say this kid is on campus with everybody else. You have a quarterback room with a couple 4-stars, a 5-star. It's just going to bring the talent to Nebraska. Kids like wide receivers, running backs, O-linemen, defensive. You're going to want to start committing now to go play with these guys to build something special because, again, and I love what this kid said. I read his article. He felt like a priority at Nebraska. He loved the way that obviously they made him feel. Everybody feels good on their recruiting visits, but he wanted to be part of something special. He didn't want to go just to a great team that was already established because, again, it's like that pitch to Raiola when I got to talk to him, obnoxiously after he was already on campus. But it's like, yo, you win at Nebraska, it's forever, especially at the hell we've been through for the last decade. And I will not take up a lot of your time talking to you about Nebraska football because I know you guys have heard it. It's just we're beating a dead horse, but we're building something, boys. But night game, Colorado at Nebraska, we are fucking going, boys. We're going to that game, and I was thinking about it over the weekend. Not that it was, because the night game wasn't announced yet, but I was thinking with Nebraska, like, we got to do it right again. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Hey, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Doing it right. Yeah. Well, was Mitch with us?
Mitch was not.
Oof.
Wait, yes, you were. Huh? No.
He said when we went to Berries? No, when we went last year for the...
Yeah, he was. He was because Steven was with us, too.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Flying out there, flying back, doing it right. Doing it right. But I won't get into a whole lot. Oh, we have some no free shout-outs from Duke Cannon. Duke Cannon is, listen, guys, their face routine stuff. We just did a little content piece. I thought the commercial was awesome. I don't think it's doing a whole lot of numbers on social. I don't know why it's not in front of everybody, the masses. Here's our product right here. Let me grab it. Damn, I was trying to rip apart. I don't know if you can see my swamp ass. We had a couple interviews today. But all of our Duke Cannon products, it is the off season. It's time to elevate your game by working harder and smelling better with our friends from Duke Cannon. Throw away your old body wash and deodorant because you smell like a JV locker room. Upgrade to Duke Cannon for a varsity level grooming routine. The scents are elite and their products are made for hardworking dudes. And I will say on top of that, I know we talk deodorants and body wash, but I'm telling you, the face routine, man, there's a movement happening. Men are getting more into the face routine. You gotta start getting yourself right. My wife is on my ass all the time about a good lotion, a good face wash, some SPF. Apparently we gotta put SPF on our face even when it's cloudy out to protect our skin. Start getting in the routine, the face routine. We'll do this shit together. Night, morning. It doesn't make you a pussy. It makes you a man. Duke Cannon, work harder, smell better. Mitch, Jack, whoever wants to start a shout out, no free shout out. Sammy, we will be giving you the floor for a shout out, no free shout out. I know you gave a couple already, but Mitch, what do you got for us?
My shout out, no free shout out this week. I went to a golf trip this weekend with a bunch of my college buddies. One thing that everybody, like all friend groups do this, and it's one of those things where it's like you're going at somebody's going up to the bar, somebody's getting drinks, and you're just like, yeah, grab me one, and there's that mutual understanding of, yeah, he's gonna get me back. It's not that like, oh, Venmo me for that drink, hit me, like, pay me back for that drink. Like, it's that mutual understanding. Oh, I'm gonna
trust.
Get him, the trust, the bond, the knowing of, he's gonna get me back at some point. That I thought, like, I did that to one of my buddies over the weekend. I'm like, that's kind of dope, but he knows I'm gonna get him. He knows I'm gonna get him back. I'm not even worried about, like, oh, is he gonna ask me to Venmo him? Like, this weekend with, I gotta shout out all the boys: Connor, Griff, Mike, Colin, Foul.
Do they watch the pod?
They do. They
okay,
all do.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't want you shouting out guys.
Yeah, no, they all watch the pod.
They're not watching the pod.
Will, Connor, I thought you said
Appreciate
Connor,
that.
but it was just a bunch of old football guys we used to play with, just telling stories and shit. It was a good time, but the mutual understanding of getting rounds, That's my shout out, no free shout out.
Love that.
If you don't have friendships that aren't the classic revolving door metaphor, get the fuck out of here.
Get the
Leave.
fuck
We're not
outta here,
friends
dude.
anymore. Just friendship should be a revolving door. My shout out, no free shout out, goes to when you rediscover a pair of shoes. It could be really any kind of clothing item, but for me, it was a pair of shoes that have like maybe been hiding underneath your bed or in a closet. But when you rediscover a pair you haven't worn in like 6 months, you're like, oh, I love these shoes. Start wearing them more, and you're like, dude, it's like buying a new pair, but with none of the cost. So you just rediscover it, whether it's an old pair of shoes or an old sweatshirt, or maybe it's a t-shirt that maybe your friend had for a few months, and then you kind of get to like have that new.
I forgot I had this.
Yeah, and then you're like, then you wear them for a week straight, and you're like, all right, I'll see you again in 6 months.
Yeah,
but
man.
Rediscovering that pair of shoes or the sweatshirt to me it's a good feeling. You kind of have a new little spark in your style. So. Shout out to rediscovering shoes.
Yeah, shout out to that. Holy shit, I forgot I had this moment.
I'm up.
Sammy,
All right.
the floor is yours, brother.
So Mother's Day was yesterday. And we got Father's Day next month. My shout out, no free shout out, goes to aunts and uncles. I am one of them. I'm an uncle of 5 nieces and nephews in total. It's the absolute best gig. Like, there's 0 responsibilities. I've never changed one diaper, and they're all out of diapers now. We went to a Cub game last Sunday, and the kids wanted ice cream. Dad wouldn't give it to them. Sam went upstairs and got
Uncle Sam.
2 helmets of ice cream and fudge and all that stuff in there.
Did Dad care?
At that point, it's too late. Once I hear the kids want something, they have it. It's absolute best gig. And going back to now that you're having number 2, I'm not saying I prefer the girls, but I absolutely prefer the girls over the boys. It's crazy. I would have never guessed that. I'm one of 4 boys. I'm way closer to the girls than I am boys.
Yeah, bro. There's something about them, because they say when they're little boys are like, you heard Randall Cobb, who he'll drop in a few weeks or in a couple weeks. But you heard him talking about his boys, and I've been around. He's like, man, they're on, like just on all the time, wrestling. Like they just got that different instinct and mentality versus like girls are so sweet, bro.
They're so sweet, and if someone's getting hurt, it's going to be the boys. The girls are going to dust it off and not really care. They'll want to play soccer with you or basketball, where the boys are, I want to play Xbox, I want to play PS4. Or whatever. So that's
awesome.
Shout out me.
Being an uncle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And because Jack, he's a proud uncle as well.
Absolutely. Love you.
You said you haven't changed any diapers. Jack, have you changed diapers?
Hell no, dude. I get to be the cool guy. 0 responsibility. She starts crying. I just grab her by the nape of her neck and give her back to her mother. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, you should change your diaper.
I have changed a diaper before.
Okay.
And it wasn't even my kid. It wasn't no blood relation. My mom was like working at a nursery, and she's like, you need to learn how to do this. And I was like, fuck no, I don't. Then I did, and yeah, I hated it. But, I can see myself taking pride in it if it was my niece or my own. But for now, I'm good with all of the fun and being the cool guy with 0 of the responsibilities, and then being like, all right, I gotta go. Don't have any kids to look after.
Jack, you're for sure gonna be a girl dad.
And I'm okay with that.
And you're going
I would
to be
love to have a girl.
An incredible girl dad. Not
Thanks,
that you
man.
guys aren't going to be great fathers. You both are. Jack's got that empathy meter that I know. And he's a guy's guy. He's a guy's guy in the streets. He's a guy's guy. And I just know he has the heart that is ready to be absolutely taken. From my experience with my daughter, I just know he's got the heart that's just going to be, he needs to be a girl dad.
That
I think
means
you'd be
lot,
a damn
man.
good one too.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to say. I'm very excited to be a father at some point when I'm ready. Whether it's in 9 months from now or in a few years.
Whether you get that phone call.
Yeah, you never know. But I am very excited for that. But I love that shout out because I have a niece and my sister's also 8 months pregnant with her second, and it's another girl. So I'm absolutely over the moon. Can't wait for her to be out here hanging with the actual fam. So yeah, shout out to the aunts and uncles of the world. They are real.
My shout out, no free shout out, will segue us into the episode, the interview with Kirk Cousins. If you stuck around with us this long, we appreciate you. Please make sure you are subscribed. If you're listening on audio or watching on YouTube, I'm mainly talking to the men because I know the women, they do a great job of following through with stuff. Guys, you got to tell them over and over to make sure that they follow through and commit. Make sure you're subscribed to the pod. It helps us immensely when you are subscribed and everything else. But my shout out, no free shout out, is going to go to when you get reminded about why you're boys with somebody. Kirk's sitting on the podcast with Kirk, and Kirk and I, we've had a great relationship since we were both on Washington together. And he was somebody that, you know, when Bitcoin was a fad then, we're talking about stuff off the field, we're talking about business. There's a mentor of his I got to go and eat lunch with one-on-one. And I felt like Kirk and I always connected on things that went like just beyond football. We had fun playing football together, like going back and forth, talking schematics and seeing him grow as a quarterback, seeing him grow as a human, being there when he was married and Julie, like going to stuff with him and Julie. He's got an incredible family. And now I get to work with his business manager, basically his mentor. His name's Ken Filippini, and shout out Ken. He is mine as well. And I remember when Kirk reached out, wanted to connect us. It was one of those things where I just thought it was going to be, hey, I got this guy, good investments, like a great guy to get to know. You trust Kirk. So you're like, okay. Ken flies out and basically does like a 3-day seminar on leadership with me and really is studying me. It's like, do I even want to work with this guy? Because he has a phrase, he doesn't want to work with dysfunctional ass clowns. And I say all that to say, like, sitting on this pod with Kirk and having the conversation with Kirk and just the role model that he is, the leader that he is, it reminded me why he was somebody I wanted to gravitate towards, like at Washington, and seek out these mentors that he does have, because I have such a trust in him and about what he's about as a father, as a man, and all of it, dude, as a teammate. And so that is my shout out, no free shout out. When you get reminded why your boys are your boys, because life happens, you're in different spots. You know, in a couple weeks when we have our tier talk, we're talking about our favorite teammates. I'm kind of talking through some guys that, you know, I don't talk to a whole lot anymore, but I got to sit there and talk about what they meant to me at that point in time. And you just know when you come back and meet them or meet up with them at some point in time, whether you're able to make it happen or not, you break bread, you have conversations, and you leave the trip, the boys trip, just reminded why you have such a core group that you do. Kirk is one of those guys. And so my shout out, no free shout out, goes to, getting that reminder of why, why you're boys with your friends from long ago in the first place. Because again, life happens, it gets away from you. You kind of not forget, but again, that sitting down with him and it's just like, yo, he's such a good fucking dude. And he's himself, like corny, whatever it is, he owns it. It's amazing. And you guys are really going to like this episode. We talk in depth about draft night when they drafted Penix, how those conversations happened. Kirk's a very stoic and control what you can control. Like, let's live in reality, not in this. And even asking him, hey, before you could control what you can control, what was the thought that ran through your head when that phone call came to you when Penix got drafted? Talk about Coach Raheem Morris, the Atlanta Falcons. What led him to go to Atlanta and pick Atlanta over the other suitors that wanted him at quarterback? The ups and downs with the Achilles. You kind of get, there's like this humanized element to where you're chasing this championship in Minnesota. You have all these weapons. And then in your contract year, you go down with an injury like an Achilles, being older, watching on Sundays, and you're not part of it anymore. You're kind of the guy on the outskirts. He had incredible a thought process that went into kind of galvanizing the group that was on IR or wasn't getting to play anymore. Those guys in the training room. This is an incredible episode. You guys are going to love it. We talk about the quarterback. We talk about you guys again. I won't continue to steal your ear. This interview is awesome. Very thankful that Kirk came on and talked to us in depth the way he did and was vulnerable and talked, all the things that he talked about. Again, if you're watching, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening, make sure you subscribe. Big hugs, tiny kisses. Enjoy this episode. Probably right after this ad read, but thank you guys for tuning in to Bussin' with the Boys. All right, before we kick off the Kirk episode, sound the trumpets. It's horse racing time. Sammy said it earlier. The best sports betting app out there is DraftKings, and it's time to saddle up for some action with DK Horse, an official DraftKings affiliate. Right now, new customers who download the DK Horse app can get a 100% deposit up to $250. Again, that is a bonus of 100% bonus. God damn it, Will. You can do this. A 100% deposit bonus up to $250. Just deposit $25 or more and complete the playthrough requirement. Wager on your favorite horses, then watch the races live on the app. Download the DK Horse app now. New customers get a 100% deposit bonus up to $250 when they opt in with code BUS, B-U-S, only on the DK Horse app. Enjoy this Kirk Cousins episode.
Say that quote one more time.
You got to feed the bad dog so he doesn't eat the good dog.
Right. And so we were talking about vices. Like if you don't have one, you can't be trusted. What's
That's
Kirk
right.
Cousins' vice?
Oh, man, I knew that was coming. I need more time to think about that. I love fast food. I love sugar. I don't like candy, but like soda.
You're a soda guy.
Yeah, I love like cinnamon rolls, like bakery, like donuts.
Junk food.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't really eat chips. Like, I got pizza, chocolate shake, burgers. Let's go.
Yeah.
Top.
The finer things in life. You like to snack on some delicious meals. That's
and I've got
your
the
vice.
problem is on my apps, they all, the algorithms recommend stuff for you. And I got on the Portnoy, one bite, everyone knows the rules, pizza stuff. And now like my whole feed is just his different pizza stops. And so I find myself like having these cravings for pizza.
Do you watch them through?
I usually watch like when they're edited down to like quick.
Yeah.
Because, the world we live in today, everything's fast.
Yeah.
But he's pretty good. But yeah, unfortunately, he's making me always be thinking about pizza now, which isn't good for the.
What are your top 3 fast food spots?
This is a good topic.
So, well, let's just, recently moved to Atlanta. So there's some like southeast part of the country food spots that like if you're from the Midwest like I am or from out west, you don't even know about. So like Bojangles,
Okay.
the Bowberry biscuit is
We know about the Bowberry biscuit.
unbelievable. It's fire. Then the Cookout. We had it when we were in D.C. They like started to work their way north.
Yeah.
But they're from like Carolina, and you get them in Atlanta too. And it's typical, like get your burger, but then instead of getting like a side of fries, you get 2 sides. So you can get like a burger, a side of fries, and then a side of nuggets, and then a drink.
And a shake, probably.
And then they have like a 50 plus flavors. of shakes.
plethora of shake.
That
flavors.
So
always
those
puts me in a
two,
blender.
and too many
It's too many
choices.
flavors.
Too many choices.
Yeah.
I usually go like mint chip, but those two in the southeast, that was something where it's like, oh, I normally don't get to have a Bowberry biscuit and
Yeah.
2 sides of my fast food. But yeah, I don't discriminate among fast food.
What's your you left out a third.
I mean, Chick-fil-A is phenomenal.
Agreed.
But I just don't like Culver's, being from the Midwest. Culver's Butterburgers, really good. Five Guys, if you want to call that fast food, really good. I just don't discriminate. Taco
Yeah.
John's, I love Taco John's.
What's
Potato
Taco
Olays.
John's?
You're Nebraska. They have Taco John's in Nebraska.
They did, but I never went to.
yeah, potato Olays.
You
Good.
mentioned something a minute ago. Mint chip.
Yeah,
You're a mint chip guy.
that's my go-to ice cream.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know about that, bro.
That's
Really?
same as McCaffrey.
I know.
It is an interesting flavor, but I got a weird ice cream taste too. We talked about that's when I got
need
caught
the-
by you and McCaffrey about my choice in ice cream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get down with your birthday confetti cake ice cream.
Yeah,
I'm
birthday
good
cake
with that.
remix from,
But you did say,
Coulson.
oh yeah, he just likes vanilla with sprinkles on it.
No, vanilla with caramel and sprinkles, and I think sprinkles is a good added texture to your ice cream. I think there's nothing wrong
Sprinkles
with
is one of
A
his
big
favorite
part
things.
of taste is texture. I learned that in high school biology.
that. Culinary class,
Yeah.
biology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then, it's a little basic. Vanilla with sprinkles, that's like what my 5-year-old son orders.
No
Yeah.
question.
He'll graduate beyond that someday. But it sounds
I
like you
never did. I
Yeah.
never did. No,
You never did.
And things are going okay for me.
Yeah.
So I'm
Happy
I'm,
boy,
I'm
you're a
happy,
happy
I'm happy
boy.
guy.
I'm doing
Yeah.
just fine.
I'm doing just fine
You're
right
a happy
now.
boy.
I do enjoy vanilla ice cream with caramel and sprinkles. Man, you can't beat it. Ice cream is the one thing for me as far as food
Yeah,
goes.
that's the rest of my family.
If
same
it's
way.
in the house, I can't say no.
Yeah. I'm not an ice cream guy. Like my growing up,
Well,
my
clearly,
family.
mint chip is.
You gotta do it. If you're gonna like hold my hand to the fire to go get ice cream, I'll get some mint chip. But I don't need it, and that's probably one of the few things that I can watch someone else eat, and I'm not tempted to jump in. But if you get a pizza, and like I'm just ate, I'm gonna get a slice. Like
You figure out
Yeah.
enough room in your
yeah,
body.
I'll find a way.
Yeah.
to rationalize the
Yeah,
pizza needs to
yeah.
be eaten.
Dude, Colt and I would just be ravaging the ice cream bar before, like, nights before games.
That
We'd have
doesn't do it for
You
me.
have the ice cream bar.
I will say, and I don't know if listeners know about the fact that when we eat as a team, I've played on 3 teams, and even going back to college, for some reason, we have the registered dietitian, eat healthy, let's get our collagen protein. They got, all week long, right? They're diligent on, you need your beetroot juice to make sure you handle elevation in Denver. And then sure enough, like clockwork, 9 p.m., meetings end, night before the game at the hotel. Ice cream comes out, the cookies come out, the pizza comes out, and I'm like, what are we doing?
The wings.
What are we
Yeah.
doing? But I brought it up one time. I was like, night before a game, maybe that's not the best time to just like binge and let it all go. Like maybe that's the worst time,
Yeah.
arguably.
Yeah.
And I had a strength coach. He said, I was in Chicago. We brought this up and we did it. We said, it's gone. And he said, there was a riot. Like it wasn't, he said it wasn't worth the blowback. Like we tried
Yeah.
to remove it. And we saw what happens when you don't give the guys their outlet. Like the stress of the season and that outlet for coaches and for players the night before the game. When you took that away, they're like, it wasn't worth it. So it was back the next week.
It would always blow me away. Like the night thing is.
It's every team.
Yeah, but there's always a way to be like,
It
okay,
is
if
every
I
team.
eat this now, I'll sleep it off. I'll be fine in the morning.
Yeah.
It blew me away when breakfast hits and there's the waffle maker and guys got loads of whipped cream on it. With
Yeah,
the
that is
strawberry
nuts.
sauce. And it's like a noon game.
We
It's like
played.
it's 7:30.
We
Like,
played
what are we doing?
Chicago one year. Coach Callahan, Bill Callahan, our O-line coach, was from Chicago,
Mhm.
so he's big on deep dish Chicago-style pizza. And we go, stay downtown, and Coach Callahan was all excited. He goes, I'm going to go get the linemen, Giordano's. So he had it ordered the hotel, planned
Deep
ahead.
dish.
So the linemen just pigged out Saturday night on Giordano's. And I'll never forget getting on the bus after the game. We won. And Morgan Moses, we're on the bus back to O'Hare Airport, and Morgan goes, I'm not going to lie. He's like, I was feeling that pizza the whole game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just so funny how we do it to ourselves.
I know, but I always chalked it up. Like I had a good fourth preseason game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I had ice cream with caramel M&Ms in it,
That's
candy,
routine.
and I had a good game to where
Routine.
when I was feeling that vice, which was often, I was like, well, it's kind of like my good luck charm
Yeah.
to have a little treat.
That's the worst part about superstition.
I know.
It's because sometimes you'll accidentally do something and you'll play really well and you'll be like, what did I do differently?
Yeah,
And
Big
in the
deal.
routine.
It's
Yeah.
always something that's
Yeah.
not good for
That's
you.
Yeah. easy to.
Yeah.
So at Michigan State, our
Boom.
routine night before games was a movie. Coach D'Antonio came from Coach D'Antonio. He wanted a movie, and I realized after a while that the reason we watch a movie, it was nothing to do with football. It wasn't like we were watching Rudy. Like we were watching just something.
Whatever's out in
nowhere.
theaters?
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
he wanted to watch, I guess, or whatever the team voted on, the captains voted on. So we watched a movie, and I realized it was for Coach D'Antonio. It was just like the 2 hours of the week where no one bothered him, where he was like able to just like
Yeah.
catch his breath and feel like he was doing something with the team, but really he was just watching a movie. So the movie was a big deal to him. Like,
Yeah.
what's the movie tonight? What are we watching? Because he needed that break, and I feel like that's the ice cream.
And you
Like, we
keep
just
guys,
need
and
that
you
break.
also keep the team. You keep guys like doing anything else.
Correct.
You keep everybody in the building.
Correct.
Hey,
We're
we know for
together
2
as a
hours
team.
we're together. Then we'll go to the hotel
Yep.
after. I
Yep.
know you guys won't get in any trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone to the ice cream bar yet with the Falcons, but I'm very confident that night before the first preseason game, our meetings are going to end. We're going to head to the lunch, the snack room, and it is going to look exactly like it did in Washington and Minnesota.
It's going to be bad pizza and then those big tubs of ice cream just
Yes.
sitting out waiting for everybody.
Exactly.
Do you have any superstitions?
I always say it's routine, and there's
Mask it with
it's a
routine,
fine
yeah.
line between routine and superstition. So it's like I want to go out for warm-ups at the same time. I want to make sure I go through the same warm-up. I want to usually get on the same bus. There's a lot of things like I do that it's more that I just have a routine, and I like to be able to turn my brain off. So I like to be able to just not have to think about things. So it's like, I don't want any energy towards decisions. So I don't want to make a decision on which bus to get on or where to sit, or I just want to know this is what I do, this is how I do it, so that all my energy is towards the game and not towards decisions. So it looks like superstition, but really it's really just I just have routine.
Has it ever been thrown off and it kind of just puts you in a frenzy?
Well, what's funny is I have to remind myself, kind of like you did, that I do get thrown off. I get really aggy before games. Like if you say something wrong, do something wrong, I'll be like, come on, man, like
Yeah.
lock it in. But after the game, I have to remind myself on the bus going to the airport, like, okay, it wasn't perfect. We played fine. We did well. We won. Like you have to be resilient, because you're gonna have those games where it's a 30-mile-an-hour wind and it's snowing, or it's your leg doesn't feel right. And like if you need everything to be perfect, you're gonna be a head case. So you have to
Yeah.
remind yourself when things weren't perfect and you played well, because then it gives you confidence the next time when things aren't lined up and you play well.
Do you remember? I felt like you had a year. I don't know if it only lasted a year or if it's still something you do, but you had, I believe, every 15
I
minutes
did, yeah.
journaled out.
Yeah, so that
during your
spun out
daily
of
routine.
control. But here's what happened. Here's the original deal. So your second year, 2014, I got thrown in when Griff dislocated his ankle. And I had some good moments. Like I showed flashes of like, hey, this guy's got potential. But then I threw a lot of picks. And I was lost. I was still figuring it out and how to do it. But part of the problem I felt was I did not have routine. I didn't know where I needed to be when. I didn't know how long to stay after practice to make sure I was ready. So I went into games. I didn't feel ready because I didn't know what ready should feel like. So my wife noticed it. We were first year of marriage, and I'd always felt like my wife is like a great sounding board to bounce things off of. Or if she says, hey, you should call this person or do that, I used to blow it off. Now I just do it because I'm like, she's right. I need to do that even if I don't feel like it. So after that, going into 2015, that year that I started the whole season, she said to me, that last year didn't work. So she's like, I don't know what you got to do, but you got to figure this out. So that was when I was like, all right, let's sit down, Julie and I, let's talk through the week. Like, what should it look like? I should go to work at this time on Monday, come back about this time, go see this bodywork person here. Tuesday, I'm going to take off. Wednesday, I'll be at the building till this time. So I like just scheduled it out, more so for me and Julie to like have our plan of what life should look like. And we played really well. And I felt at peace. Like I would go home on Wednesday at 6:30 at night, and I'd be like, I'm good. I got my work done. I planned this out. I said in August, like at Wednesday at 6:30, I should have my work done for the day. So at 6:45, I don't need to be driving home feeling like I should still be at work. So it was almost like it gave me like a peace.
Yeah.
To be like, when I'm off, I'm off. I don't need to still have my mind be at work. That was why I did it.
Yeah.
And then we played well, and I realized, like, okay, this routine works. Like, I'm just going to keep plugging away at this. And so I, to this day, kind of keep that same routine of Tuesdays off. Wednesday I show up at this time, do this. And I kind of, now I don't need to, in a spreadsheet, but I did when I didn't have a plan for it.
Yeah. Do you still have a spreadsheet?
I don't
you
think,
have to have
I could
some
probably,
sort.
I could probably go back and find it, somewhere. It probably is saved, but it was just in the spreadsheet cells every 15 minutes. And I was able to fit it where the spreadsheet cells were every 15 minutes fit on one page. So I was like, there we go.
Yo, that's Kirk Cousins, bro.
I know. I've heard this story before.
I'm a planner. I like that. But once I have it locked in, then I'm like at peace.
No decisions need to be made.
No decisions need to be made.
They're
so
made
I can
for
just
you.
go. And that's what really helped me.
That's how most billionaires are. They
Really?
they have all their clothes lined up. That's why you see billionaires always wearing the same outfit and stuff like that.
I have heard that, like Mark Zuckerberg, part of the reason he wore the hoodie every day is he
Yeah.
didn't want to think about what he wore. So if he just wore the same thing every day, he can spend his time and energy thinking about Facebook and how to
Yeah.
grow it.
Yeah, because the brain's only capable of making so many decisions.
So there's
in
a
one
little
day.
bit of that, and I don't think I have the capability to handle a bunch of things at one time. So I try to just say, all right, all that stuff I'm not thinking about, and I can focus on what I need to focus on.
Ken, you deal with this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you and I both
he's the
know.
man.
Yeah, Ken runs my life. That's why Will mentions the guy Ken. But
Ken the suit.
Yeah,
He's
Ken
incredible.
Filippini.
Yeah,
Shout
he's
out the boy
awesome.
Ken. He is the best. We interrupt this episode to bring you Sport Clips. Your hair may grow fast, but after going to Sport Clips haircuts, you'll wish it grew even faster, and that's because Sport Clips has the best seats in hair. And that may or may not be because they happen to be right in front of TVs playing sports all day long, each and every day. And we know that watching sports while getting a haircut sure beats watching your reflection getting a haircut, or even listening to your barber that you might not want to hear about that day just chirp in your ear and talk to you about his life problems all the time, which is why at Sport Clips every day is clippers and curveballs, high tops and Hail Marys. And at Sport Clips you can check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with pure uninterrupted relaxation. So come watch an endless stream of sports on TV while getting an awesome haircut. Sport Clips, it is a game changer.
When your routine is so dialed in like that, and you go and do a show like Quarterback,
yeah,
did that mess with your routine?
it's a great question. It didn't. On the bye week, it was something where it's like, man, I'm used to just doing whatever I want in the bye week. Now I got to give a day to do that.
Mhm.
I did put off at times. I'd say, hey, let's film this at the end of the season. When the season's over, we can go back and circle back on this stuff. So I tried to, when I could, push it off. But then, there were times where you're like, I would love to not have to do this right now, but it was a part of what we agreed to. And I knew the end game would be worth it. And it helped that we had a great season. We were winning. But I felt like it didn't interrupt my routine as much as it was just filming what I was already going to be doing.
Right. So it would feel like a burden every now and then. I
Yeah,
think there was
every
a
now and
scene
then.
where I think you're sitting by the fire and you're upset about maybe
Yeah.
a burn mark in your.
yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, that was the deal. Like, we won the game, so that helped. But they were scheduled to be at the house whether we won or lost because they came into town to film. They were going to capture that content. And so I was like, well, it would really help if we won in terms of hanging out at the house afterwards. We won. And then, you're like, I would prefer to just be hanging out with my family. But if I have to hang out with my family with the cameras, then so be it.
Yeah.
But I try to just make it like, hey, we're just hanging out. Let's not let the fact that their cameras are on interfere with what we would normally be doing.
Were you pretty happy with doing the quarterback? I feel like
Yeah.
you came out pretty
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Yeah, it helped. First of all, it helped to win. I mean, I knew if you have a good year, it's different than if you were struggling. So I stayed healthy. We won, which was great. I think it was really important that you come across as who you are. So when I got a text from a teammate who played for the Bengals and wasn't with me that season, but he had played with me for 3 seasons prior, he texted me, watch the show. I told my fellow quarterbacks, that's who you are. Like, what you see in the show is what Kirk was for 3 years. I was like, see, that was the goal.
Yeah.
is that the show wouldn't be somebody different. And Sean McVay, same thing. He texted me like, "Hey, just watch the show. It's the same guy I remember from 2016." And I'm like, see, that's what you want the show to be. It would be shame on me if people were like, yeah, that's not really Kirk. Like now you pull one over on people.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I think the show was pretty accurate.
Were you surprised at how well received you were? Because if you look at the
Yeah.
three quarterbacks in it, I mean, you definitely, as
Yeah.
far as like leveling up, as far as
Right.
people being like, "Yo, Kirk Cousins is actually the man." Like, this dude's awesome. Like you truly won the
man.
popularity
Yeah.
contest of those three guys.
Yeah, there's a conversation there to be had of like, there are probably some narratives that maybe weren't as true, that were little lazy narratives that the show probably helped dispel a little bit. But even teammates now with the Falcons, they said, one of them said, we watched the show, and I remember thinking, this guy's a lot tougher than I would have thought. And I remember thinking, like,
Nice to hear.
yeah, like great to hear, but like the previous 7 years, like I don't love that you saw me as a wuss. So that was a little tough to hear at the same time. But I was like, boy, I'm glad I did the show. Otherwise, you would have thought I was like
A
soft.
pussy the whole time.
Which
Yeah,
I can't have. I always say to Julie about my boys, I'm like, we're raising 2 boys. I don't care if they're good at sports. I don't care if they're good at school. I don't care. They better be gritty.
Yeah.
Like if my boys are soft,
word.
like I got a problem. So I always say, like, I just got to make sure when they're walking across the high school graduation stage that I know my boys have grit. And if they have that, everything else is gravy.
Dude, that's actually a great topic. I mean, you being as successful as you've been in the league, the amount of money that you've amassed for your family, generational type wealth. When you think about being a father and raising your 2 boys and wanting them to be gritty and growing up in an environment that's, that on the outside it seems much softer, seems much easier than most of the country. Like, what you as a parent, as a father, what are the things you do that instills grit or that you want to come off as with your boys?
I think, first of all, when they're good at something, I don't want to tell them, boy, you're really good at that. You're really talented at that. I want to say to them, I love how hard you worked at that. Because I want the feedback to be that you didn't just show up and and swung that baseball bat or played that piano. You didn't just show up and do it, even though maybe you did. You're talented. I want them to think I did it well because I worked at it. So it's almost like a psychological thing of making sure they know that they have something because they worked for it, as opposed to they could just show up and have it. So entitlement, is something I can't stand. So I got to make sure my boys aren't entitled. But I said to my wife, I said, growing up, I always knew that whatever I do, like I got to make my way in life. My boys will know, and I don't have an answer for this, they will know that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, they do have a parachute. Like they do have a soft landing that's sort of cooked into the system. And that there's no way to like trick them into thinking they don't. So that'll be the key, is that their motivation comes intrinsically, because extrinsically there will be like a built-in mechanism for them to, fall back on, because I love them and I want that for them. But intrinsically, I need them to not act like that.
Yeah. It's always a work in progress.
Yeah,
What is
the
it? The family
key-
that's like, oh, they're not going to get nothing. Is it Bill Gates? Oh,
One of those billionaire guys just came out and
I
said
think
their
Ashton
kids-
Kutcher as well, right?
Shaq had a great line. Shaq said, I tell my kids, you guys aren't rich. I'm rich. You're not rich.
Yeah.
And I laughed. So, I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. My boys are 6 and 5, so that to talk like I know what I'm doing, I'm still figuring it out every day. But it's a topic I'm passionate about, and I read books on it, to try to do it right, and we'll see how it all turns out.
There are a couple you'd recommend?
It's a great question. I was actually Truett Cathy, the guy who founded Chick-fil-A, wrote a book called Wealth, Is It Worth It? And that was pretty good. There's a couple others he's written specifically about raising boys, raising kids. There's a book called Preparing Heirs. So, I'm a planner. So, like, I try to, go out and learn and read, and there's a lot out there about that topic.
When you're at the quarterback thing and you're showing your family and your wife's dressing you in the Kohl's and all that, and you just see how like humble you are as a cat, because Will's already commented on like how much money you've been able to make doing something you absolutely love.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where you're like, I should go buy this one thing I should go buy?
What a great question. What a great question.
Because it is like, dude, you've crushed it. Like, I know it's an
evolved.
uncomfortable topic.
It's evolved.
but-
I'll never forget my rookie year. Rex Grossman, your rookie year. He was on the team. Great guy. I was lucky to get to play with him for 2 years. And my rookie year, he leaned over to me, like it was during a walkthrough, I think, and he asked me a question like, is there anything, you're a pro now, you got a signing bonus check. Is there anything that you want? And I looked at him and I said, man, I've always wanted a sports car. I was like, I would love a Corvette. But I was like, I don't think I'm going to buy it. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he goes, you should scratch that itch. He goes, you should scratch that itch. And at the time I was like, well, I'm not gonna.
Right.
I'm not gonna. I'm on the league minimum salary. I haven't played it down yet. I'll save down the road. And what's funny is I'm in year 13 coming up. I never bought the sports car. And I'll sometimes think of that conversation and I'll be like, that kind of sums it up, that like I never did. And there's a point where at some point you do need to just go scratch that itch. And I think Rex's point is well taken. Like, he was speaking from year 11 where he was saying like, yeah, just go, like, you only live once, go scratch that itch, like, have fun, like, don't worry about it. It was what he was trying to tell me. And he was right.
Right.
And so I think there's some of that. But
are you going to buy one? How close are we to
Have you
just
looked
go?
into, have you looked into it enough to know exactly what you want?
So I love cars. So I've, like, when we were in Vegas for the Super Bowl week, I went out to a racetrack and I was going. Like, I took my brother, and he's going for fun. And I'm like, I'm going because I'm trying to test drive these things. I'm trying to see which one I want to get.
Yeah.
So, but I still haven't bought one. But we came here, and Mercedes is a partner of the team. The stadium's Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They've been great. So if I were to get one, I'd probably go that route. Get the AMG GT. But I've always wanted one. I just never really pulled the trigger.
I feel like it's
but I got the
easy
conversion
avenue.
van.
Yeah, you still got that?
Well, my grandma's ended up getting told crazy stories. So I buy my grandma's conversion van in 2014. Kept it going. It was fun. We took it to games with family.
Proudly kept it going.
Yeah, proudly kept it going. But it was sitting in a mechanic shop parking lot, and at 4 a.m. in my hometown, a guy goes off the road and runs into it and totals it. Like, the damage was like $10,000 and the van was worth like $4,000. So it was done. So I had to.
You're thinking there's no way to fix this with $10,000?
No, well, I could have. I could have doubled down.
He said, $10,000, the van's worth $4,000. You think I'm gonna put crazy over? Yeah.
I could have doubled down, but I was like, the insurance company check, I'll just take it. But then we went in. We did buy a conversion van. We bought a brand new one. My wife was saying it's not. My wife was like, I don't think this is safe on the road anymore. She's like, let's just get a new one. So we got a new one. So we do have the conversion van. We splurged on that.
Yeah.
Splurged on the conversion van.
I have nice things. I don't want to lead the audience to think that like I drive like a 1985 Honda Accord and like live in a cardboard box. But we have nice things.
Yeah, you have nice things. Julie still picks out your fashion.
Yeah, because I don't trust myself. I dressed myself this morning at like 6 a.m. when I got
look fantastic.
Up, no, thank you. But I'm pumped that quarter-length socks came back. I've always felt that quarter-length socks are the best sock going.
Yeah.
Like, the higher ones are too tall. The low cut are too low. Quarter-length is perfect. But for the last 15 years, quarter-length socks were a big no-no. Like, my wife was like, you can't wear those. But they're back.
You feel like a trailblazer.
I was at the Pro Bowl. I was at the Pro Bowl a year ago, 2 years ago.
But they're back.
And Fred Warner was wearing quarter-length socks with the Nike, like the Dunks.
Were you wearing quarter-length socks?
I wasn't. I was still thinking low cut was in. So the quarter-length came back, and I realized at the Pro Bowl, like, oh, this is good for me. Like, this is good. I'm long
that's
on
the moment.
quarter-length
That's
socks.
the moment you
would have
knew.
been like the trailblazer to bring it back.
But that's
Fred
the thing.
Warner?
No. See, if I had been wearing them, they wouldn't have come back. So, see, I
Fair.
wore Asics. Like, your rookie year, I was wearing Asics around the building. And
Yeah.
everybody would kill me for it. They're like, dude, you can't wear Asics with quarter-length socks. Like, that's terrible. They're back.
That's
The swaggiest guys in our locker room are rocking Asics all day long.
What's an Asics? What is
The
that?
running shoes.
the
They're like big. Running shoes. They're big in the tennis world.
Are they? What?
the brand of shoe.
I don't know that brand.
It's a brand of running shoe. Running shoes in general are back. Like,
Got
Yeah,
you.
you've seen
like
those.
Brooks,
Yeah,
Asics,
Hoka's.
New Balance, Hoka. Like, that's back.
All right. That's the only running shoe brand I know besides
Quarter-length
Quarter-length
socks and running shoes are in. If you can fact check me on this, I know because I go to the lift every day, and the swaggiest guys are rocking them. But like running shoes and quarter-length socks are in, and I'm thinking I was 10 years early, but I'm in my sweet spot now.
now
you're back.
Now you're in your bag.
Now you're like the savvy, swaggy vet.
Something like that.
You got the quarter-length socks on.
Yeah.
Have you bought yourself like a chain, like the Kirk Cousins? Or you
Haven't
just
gotten
let
a
your
chain.
you just let
Jewelry
your
doesn't really
teammates
do it for me. Haven't gotten a chain. I'd like to get a nice watch someday, but a lot of them are like invite only to buy.
Yo, I love you so much, dog. I'd like to get a nice watch
Nice.
someday. I know Jonathan's into watches. Big watch guy.
Really?
Yeah, he's
I'll
like
talk to him about
kind of like
that.
that underground, like understands the entire game because it's like a.
Oh, I
it's a
can't wait to talk to him
massive
about
game.
it. Yeah, I got a
He'll
teammate.
get you on the
who-
right track.
I got a teammate who knows an authorized dealer who is maybe going to help me a little bit.
Who's
Works in back
what's-
channels.
What's the
Watch one
brand you're
day.
looking for?
Rolex is iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Patek Philippe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But that's also pretty iconic. So something iconic. You know, I don't want to
Yeah.
get like a deep cut. I like to get something where it's kind of right down Main Street.
Yeah.
This one of our sponsors is True Classic, and he's a big watch guy. The CEO is a big watch guy, and he was telling me Rolex is where people start, Patek is where they finish.
Well, maybe I should go to Patek then. That's a
Yeah,
great
you
quote.
go
That's
right,
a great
go right
line.
to the finishing line.
So
You're good right there.
Yeah, but I haven't done it. I haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet.
Yeah. Maybe someday.
Maybe
How many
someday.
triggers do you
Maybe
have?
I'll earn enough someday.
You should just do it all one swoop. One day, just like pick a day 3 years from now. You're like, all right, May 27, 2027.
Yeah, I'm just gonna scratch
I'm gonna
the
go
itch.
and buy
just Rex-
all of the
yeah.
things I've
Maybe
said.
I'll bring Rex Gross. Well, it's Treat Yourself from the show Parks and Rec. They
Yeah.
have Treat Yourself Day where you just go to the mall, no judgment.
No
get whatever
judgment,
you
treat
want.
yourself. Get what
Yeah,
you want.
need one of those days.
Man, is your wife from Atlanta?
She's from Atlanta.
Did
so-
that play a factor? in
So
the
you'd have
fantasy
to know
game?
my wife. Will does a little bit. If I had said to her, "We're going to Japan to play," she would have said, "Great, boys will learn Japanese. Let's go." Like that's the way she is. She's built different.
Yeah.
So it really isn't a big deal to her. It's a huge deal to her siblings, her parents. That like I can't believe our daughter and her son-in-law are not only moving back to Atlanta after being farther away, but they're playing for the Falcons. Like this, they're sports fans. So this is a
Yeah.
huge deal for them that I'm playing for their team, if you will. But for Julie, it was kind of like, great, that's fine, you know. But I would have been fine going anywhere, which helps. I mean, it helps. And my wife, if I said, hey, we're going to play 10 more years. I'm going to play till I'm 47. She'd be like, okay, sounds good. And if I said, hey, I'm retiring tomorrow, she'd be like, okay, sounds good. So she's a little
Easygoing
bit like,
cat.
Yeah.
yeah, she's a little bit like, yeah, whatever you got to do, I'm here to support. And I think a big reason that I've had any success in my career is because I have a spouse, a helpmate who is kind of there for me and is a support and does take so much off of my plate. I think she's a big part of it. I remember when I got married, Ray Wright, the strength coach.
Mhm.
I'm throwing out all these names from the past, good times. Ray Wright pulled me aside. He goes, I firmly believe, Kirk, and Ray was a man of few words, but he goes, I firmly believe that players in this league do not play their best until they get married. And he's like, you got married, I think your best's going to come out. And that year I got benched. But the next year,
But the next year,
the
we're on the
corner turned.
rise.
So
What
anyways,
it does, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you kind of eliminate a lot of distractions that single men would have. Especially
yeah, I
when
think
you're
you eliminate
coming into
distractions.
money.
I think she helped create some structure, and just as a great perspective. You know, like what happened today at work. What'd you tell this person? How'd you respond to that comment? Hey, I think you said this to the media. I think you should have said this. Like it's like a built-in coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And if you listen, like you can learn a lot of good things from your spouse.
yeah, man.
You ever
Good
get to a point though
foundations.
when your season's dragging on, you're in week 9, you can't see the end of the road just yet. You
Correct.
go do the media, and you come home and your wife's like, "Listen, you said it like this. You probably should say it like that." Well, you're kind of like, "Honey,
Here's what I
give
get.
me a couple of minutes."
I'm on a
here."
boat in Lake Michigan, July 15th, and I'm trying to enjoy my day. And Julie will say some crazy comment like, I can't wait for football season. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, relax. Like, football will be here. I'm trying to enjoy this boat ride. I'm not thinking about football. And she's like, I just can't wait. I just love ball. I love football. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't have to do 2-a-days. Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
grind. So she loves the season. But sometimes I need her excitement to just be measured because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
July and we're not there
slow
yet.
burn.
Yeah, July
Gotta
15th.
pace ourselves.
You're
Yeah.
10 days away from camp. That's like when it starts
Correct.
to sink
You guys
in. Like,
get it.
damn, like it's
Yeah, you
really
guys get
coming
it.
up.
Yeah.
We really got to go
Yeah.
through this camp.
What went into you choosing Atlanta?
I would say the biggest thing was I felt going back years in Minnesota as we were trying to get an extension to retire a Viking and the offers were coming in each offseason that it was a 1 year. It was a 1 year. And I realized, if I'm going to stay here for another year, I'm probably not going to get to retire here. And so I did sign a 1 year and did try to make it work. But then I realized, this isn't changing. It's still a 1 year every year. And I realized, I want to go somewhere, be somewhere where I know I could retire there. And so that was kind of the feeling was when I signed with the Falcons that I think I'm going to get a chance to retire a Falcon. And that excited me.
Were the Vikings ever? Were the Vikings? Obviously, they're in the conversation and stuff. But
Oh,
were
yeah.
they trying to do things to make it work. Whether it was 4 years or
No, they were very involved. They were great through the whole process. They were great, and they always were. They were always great. It was just that the structure is what has always kind of driven the conversation for me. The structure was more on a year-to-year basis. And I thought, I don't think that's the direction I'd like to go.
Dude, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you've gone through this situation twice where you're transitioning, you set up relationships, established a home, friends, all that stuff. You've made a move 2 separate times now. Emotionally, how do you handle that?
Really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Really difficult. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's
You're welcome.
it's just a big turn. It's a big change. You don't I don't even as a sports fan, I don't have an appreciation for when Kevin Durant leaves the Warriors and goes to the Brooklyn Nets. I just shrug my shoulders and all right, he's still Kevin Durant. I'm gonna see him doing the same things he did in the Warriors. But when you live it, you're like, it's a huge change. It's a huge change for family, for meeting people, for leading people. You just hit the reset button, and it takes time to build up equity with people that they trust you and you trust them, and so. You do feel like you're a rookie again a little bit. You feel like you're going backwards instead of taking steps forwards, which can be frustrating, but you also know that's what you're signing up for, so you kind of brace yourself for that.
Structurally, I remember sitting in our row and talking about guaranteed contracts. You've kind of become the example for guys around the league whenever a new contract pops for Kirk Cousins. You've had, I don't know how many guaranteed contracts, but when you're talking about structure and the way it looks, now you're in a situation where you're in a 4-year deal, not all guaranteed. Does that kind of is that kind of the game? You were younger, so it's okay, let's go more short term because I know I can get. You had a goal of having guaranteed contracts. Did that kind of shift going into this next deal?
Yeah, I've always said you deal in reality and you deal in risk. So I can tell you all the things I'd like in a contract, but if reality is I'm not going to get that in the market, then it's pointless to talk about. So there's a little bit of what's reality. Reality would be that I'm coming off an Achilles, that I'll be 36 years old before I start the next game, and therefore my market may not be as strong as I'd like it to be. There's also risk. What are you willing to risk? What are you willing to put on the table? What are you, and I was willing to play out a contract. I said, if all I'm going to get from Minnesota is a 1-year extension, then I'd like to just play out this contract, and I'll get that 1 year when the season's over. But there's risk involved with that. So I try to deal in reality and I try to understand risk and those two things. And I feel like the combination of those two is what drove the whole offseason process to end up where it was. But I do think there are too many players and really sometimes teams that they aren't dealing in reality and they aren't recognizing risk. And so you have to realize those two things are a big part of all contract discussions.
That last part you just said about other players not dealing with reality and not understanding the risk, that is the majority of college NFL players that are playing in it. Do you ever sit down and have those conversations with those guys? Because it is so many guys live a delusional lifestyle playing this game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary to watch because you're looking at guys and you're like, brother, if you're an undrafted cat playing minimum and you're rolling around in the nicest car in the lot, there's a problem.
Yeah, I've always said that they don't, the 40-yard dash, I'll watch the combine on NFL Network or whatever, and I'll laugh and I'll be like, until they have a 40-yard dash that the number tells you someone's emotional intelligence and self-awareness, you really haven't evaluated the player.
Right.
We'll get some guys and you're like, yeah, he's a great player, but he is so unaware. There's no awareness, and eventually that's just going to limit what he can do as a player. So, or vice versa. You say, yeah, the guy isn't the fastest, isn't the strongest, isn't the biggest, but he's emotionally intelligent and he's very aware and he knows how to work. He knows the strategic things he has to do to be better. And so I'll play with him any day and he's going to be a great player in time. And so I don't think they've come up with tests at the combine to figure out this, separate the two, but that's a big deal to me is people who can recognize reality and live in reality instead of, a world that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. Or they think they might get guys who could be in situations, they think they're going to get something in a negotiation and then it kind of, it's they feel disrespected on something without understanding what the risk is or the market or
business. Yeah.
Business part of it is
people
don't understand that at all. Do you have some?
I was gonna transition to the Achilles.
Yes.
Talk
yes.
through that. You
well,
guys
quarter length socks do protect the scar.
Let's see a peek
so
at that thing.
when the scar, when it was no show socks, the scar would be very visible. But now I can rock quarter length, and I don't even have to show the scar.
You got a solid tan line coming in too. You've been wearing those quarter lengths out.
Once it came
Once
back,
you saw it was okay, them things haven't even come off.
Threw away all of
Go to
those
sleep in them
shows
boys.
But it's healing up. We're 6 months and change in. I was told 9 months when I did it was kind of the timeline, August 1st. But being a competitor, I'm hoping for faster than that, and we'll see if we can get there.
When they're sorry,
No,
you
go
wanna
ahead. I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask if you conversed with Aaron Rodgers at all. It seemed
That's
like
where
he
I was
was
going
very
to.
I called him. I think I did it on Sunday. I probably talked to him on Tuesday, just to say, what do I need to know? Didn't even know what to ask really, but he was great. He was helpful. Gave me his perspective, his thoughts, what you want to focus on, and then I probably circled back with him in December on our bye week, and he was very helpful again. At that point, he was trying to get back on the practice field already. So he was helpful. And then I started researching people who have torn their Achilles. It was a serious list. Like I made like a power rankings of the all-time people who have torn their Achilles. I know Al Gore tore his Achilles.
Got the
Oh, no
spreadsheet.
shit.
Al Gore tore his Achilles. Judi Dench tore her Achilles, the actress. We had Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and one other famous actor all tore their Achilles. Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe elected not to have surgery, and like it never got better. So like 12 years later, he got surgery. So I felt like that was a good argument to get surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Brad Pitt, ironically, tore his Achilles while playing the role of Achilles for the movie Troy.
No shit.
Filming was suspended like 4 to 6 weeks so he could heal.
Damn.
But Tiger Woods, I guess, tore his Achilles. I didn't know that. A lot of basketball players: Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
Dan Marino. So I was just looking at like all these guys, and it was encouraging, honestly, because there were so many people who came back and lived meaningful lives post Achilles.
Yeah, because you get worried about the Achilles because that ankle flexion. What has been the most difficult part for you in this recovery process?
Well, I think a lot of it is trying to get the brain to recognize that you're good now. And so it's the innervation of the muscles and knowing that, hey, yes, we went through trauma. Yes, it needed to heal, but it's healed now. You can go. We can go. I think the brain is still guarding like it always does after an injury. And so it takes time. And so you can do all you want. You can do all the exercise you want, but it's still time has to do its work.
Is pain a factor at all?
I think pain kind of becomes like your signal that you aren't healed yet, or that's your limiting factor. So if you move and there's pain, then it's like, hey, why is there pain? Let's work through this. But it's interesting how as time goes, as you heal, as you do more rehab and exercises, you find you can do more and more and more. And where you're getting that moment of pain that's telling you to stop is further and further and further down the movement scale. So I'm really close now, and we just got to kind of break through that last push here to go from where I am to like full go.
How'd you do mentally through it all? Like you go from, you're obviously making the push with the Vikings. Now you guys didn't start the right way, but
we were ascending.
Yeah,
at the
you guys
time.
were ascending. Like you guys were in those close games that you probably should have.
We were
out,
really.
You were starting
really
to ascend, and then you go from. You're now on the couch watching the games with everybody else. How'd you?
No
do
fun. No fun. I was in a dark place for a while, like anybody would be. Football means something to me, and it hurt. It was confusing. It was frustrating. And so I'd be lying to you if I told you, oh, I was good, I was resilient. It's like, no, I dealt with the same feelings that anybody would feel. You're frustrated and you feel like you're getting dealt a bad hand. But I had to remind myself that, okay, this football career, I don't own it. I just steward it. I steward what I'm given. There's only so much you can control. And so you control what you can control, and what you can't control, you've got to let go. If you try to hold it tight, you're just going to wear yourself out. So that perspective of being a steward, not an owner, really helped me. And so I said, okay, I'm going to steward my rehab. I'm going to steward my rehab well. And so what I did, and you would have done this too, Will, is I went into the training room every day in Minnesota, and I thought, all right, so my team, because I'm really not with the team anymore, so my team is the guys who are also on IR. So, like, I'm the quarterback of the IR group. So we go in there every day. There were like 6 of us, and I would say, okay, guys, we don't have parole. Like, we're not going to get to go see the parole board. Justin Jefferson over here is dealing with a bad hand knee. He gets to go to the parole board in like 2 weeks and get back in the game, but we don't. So I kind of tried to have our group, stick together, keep each other up, and then we did some trips together, did some dinners together, just to kind of feel like we're in this together. And I feel like that really helped me, feeling like I'm not alone. There's 5 other guys whose seasons are over also, and I think 4 of the 5 also had expiring contracts. So we were kind of all in it together, and that was really good. And then I was able to see the training room from the perspective of what they're trained to do. Like, when I tore it, they showed me their level of excellence. When it was like it was clockwork. They knew like where to go, what to do next. every step, it was just clockwork. And so I had so much respect for our Minnesota training room because I got to see them in action. And even the culture in the training room, how they had like that bedside manner where they know that like we're all going through a hard time, and they're able to kind of really talk us through that and work with us. So ton of respect for the Minnesota training room. And it was hard. Well, one of the reasons it was hard for me to leave was knowing that like that's another place I got to start over.
Mm-hmm.
For guys that anybody who gets hurt playing a sport, they go through that sad boy period.
Yeah.
What was the switch in your head? Because obviously you're having a hard time.
Yeah.
And you took this amazing approach with the IR, making them a team.
Yeah.
What was like? How do you get yourself out of that funk to allow you to now? Okay, I'm going to make this a good situation as opposed to just living in a bad situation.
Yeah, I think time helped. Also Legos.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Yes.
took I said to Julie, the team left for an away trip to somewhere. I think they may have gone to Atlanta or Denver.
He's the best.
Probably
He's
Denver.
the best.
And I said to Julie, I texted Julie because the team left for Denver, and I'm sad, right? I'm like, golly, I should be in Denver. I shouldn't be here, on a scooter. And I said to Julie, I go, we're taking the boys to Mall of America. We're going to the Lego store, and I'm going to scratch that itch. So I went in there, and I looked at like the Lego person with the apron at the entrance welcoming me in, and I said, you're with me. Get a cart. We're going. I was like, whatever those two boys right there at 5 and 6, whatever they say they want, throw it in the cart. And we're going to start building.
Scratch that itch with the Legos, bro.
So we built the Lego Concorde. We built the Space Shuttle. We built the Home Alone house. We built the James Bond car. Like me and my boys came home, did our rehab. We got time. Legos. Let's go.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay,
That's the clip too. Him listing off the Legos that they built. It's good. That's the clip, and the caption is going to be, "This episode is everything you want out of Kirk Cousins."
Well, how did I get through it? Legos got me through.
Dude, you go through all those Legos and you just passed up the Titanic?
Okay, so I can go in on Lego. We can have a separate podcast.
I am
about
a
Legos.
huge fan. So I have the Titanic one sitting in one of my
Well done.
rooms at the
I'm
house.
proud of you.
Still not done yet.
You're built a little different. Like my ceiling's probably 7,000 pieces.
Uh-huh.
That's like 10,000 pieces. Like you're deep.
I bought it a year ago, and I'm like halfway done.
Understandable.
Yeah, and I kind of walk away from it for months at a time, and I'll come back, I'll stare, and I'll be like, I'm going to take the next 4 hours of my life, and I'm just going to do this.
No, I love to build. Like I love to build and create, and I also love following instructions. So like it works perfect. Some of them though are too big. I'm like the Coliseum, the Titanic. Like I can't. Where's it gonna go when I'm finished?
Yeah.
So
Just take a picture
So
of
I
it.
try. Yeah.
and then just
So,
put it
yeah.
in the basement.
So we like the Home Alone house. I'm gonna pull it out every year as Christmas decoration. So
Dude.
like every year I put it in the shelf with other like Christmas wreaths and stuff, and now I'm gonna pull it out every year for decoration. So
Everyone's got a.
everything I build, I like try to keep assembled. And like I built they have a Lego from the TV show The Office. That's like an aerial of The Office with all the characters and all the details and everything. So I built that, and then I took it to our family office and just put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
I'm like, that will forever be here. So love Legos.
Legos are the best. Shout out Legos, sponsor. They should
Shout out.
sponsor you.
Yeah,
Shout
they
out.
should sponsor.
We got a lot of brands here: fast food brands, car brands, Lego brands.
Yeah.
You got to pick one right now, Patek or Rolex.
Wow, depends on the model. So like a rare Rolex that's like unattainable, got to know somebody to get. If someone's willing to let me get one, I'm probably going Rolex. Iconic.
It is.
But we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah, both great brands.
And you did say Patek's where you finished, so maybe that was the
wasn't
wrong
my words.
answer.
I was repeating a cool quote that I heard less than a week ago.
Let's dive into the articles that have been going around
'Kay.
about draft night.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, Michael
Yeah.
Penix gets drafted. They call you when the pick is happening.
Right.
There's a Minnesota article that came out. A reason that Kirk left was they talked about them drafting a successor high. So that was one of the reasons he comes to Atlanta. Talk about draft night, Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta Falcons picking Michael Penix.
Yeah, I think you're reminded again that there are things you control, and there's a lot of things you don't control. And so let's deal in reality, and recognize that fact, and then be a steward, not an owner. So I just believe that I got to steward what comes my way and control what I can control, which is what a steward does. But a steward doesn't worry about that which they can't control.
Yeah.
An owner does. An owner would be like, oh my goodness. So I just got to steward this and just do kind of what I've always done as a player and let the chips fall where they may. Before
Before your brain starts to compartmentalize and realize what's controllable and what's not, the immediate reaction when Michael Penix gets drafted?
Well, I had,
Or if it was a phone call right before.
yeah,
the
I
pick
had
happened.
like, I'm trying to think, it was 21, so that would have been 3 years ago. Vikings 3 years ago. I was finishing up a round of golf before the draft on Thursday, and I'm on like the 18th hole, walking up the fairway, and Clint Kubiak calls me, our OC, and he said, "I just want to give you a heads up, like we may draft a quarterback tonight." I was like, "Okay." Like,
And this was on Thursday?
this was on the Thursday, like a few
Okay.
hours before the draft.
Yeah.
So I understood that, like, for a while, teams are always thinking about succession plans. They're always thinking about that, and they didn't end up drafting one that year. But you're made aware that, like, this is a possible direction it could go. So my point is this isn't like a foreign concept. There's an awareness that this is the NFL. Anything can happen, and so it kind of was a part. I mean, I remember I was committed to Michigan State, so I was trying to go to Michigan State, but they didn't offer me yet. I go on my official visit, no offers. They explained to me at the visit, they said, "We've offered 5 other quarterbacks. If any of them commit, we will not offer you because we're going to take 1 quarterback in this recruiting class. If all 5 don't commit, we would then maybe send you an offer. So you'll do this official visit, but no offer, go home, and we'll call you if something happens." So we did the official visit, and like a week and a half later, I get a call from Coach D'Antonio. He offered me a scholarship. What he was saying was they went 0 for 5. So I said, okay. And I didn't commit right there in the moment, but I slept on it. The next day I called him. I said, I'd like to be a Spartan. So I committed. But I did understand I was the 6th choice.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, so I signed my scholarship. And back then, once you sign, you can't back out. Like, you have to sit out a year if you transfer. So I'm locked in at Michigan State. No way to get out. And he calls me 2 weeks later and he said, "Hey, there was a quarterback who didn't sign on signing day. He's extended his recruitment, and he's coming up to Michigan State for a visit. We're going to offer him. We think he's going to commit. His name's Nick Foles." And I was like, okay. I said, now a month ago you told me that there were 5 guys that if they committed, you wouldn't offer anybody else. Now I committed, and those same rules don't apply. You're now offering somebody else. I said, what do you think that makes me feel like? So, and Nick was the man. I'm so glad our paths crossed. We were together for a year, and he's been a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
So, but I remember at the time thinking, like, this is going to be tough. Nick's a really good player, and probably only one of us will play at Michigan State. So I say all that to say this whole competing for your job, coaches having to have a full quarterback room, have good players, trying to, get as much depth as they can. It's more like, copy and paste than it is something new for me, because this goes so far back to kind of how it always has been.
Right. Because so it's fair to say, Kirk Cousins, the Falcons, there's no beef involved.
No, and I don't think there can be. I don't think it's helpful. Like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl, and it's hard enough. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's hard enough. So let's all be on the same page, and let's try to go win a Super Bowl.
I'm stuck on the Michigan State thing right now.
Oh, hang on. One more before you go back to the Michigan State. Because I was going to say, too, like, you brought up the example of Minnesota and Kubiak calling you on Thursday, hey, we might draft somebody. We just had Raw on, and Raw was kind of like in the mindset of, like, what did he say? There was like a line that he said, but basically communicate, when we needed to communicate. He's like, what if I told him before that, hey, we might draft somebody high, and then you don't end up doing it? What can still happen to a psyche? Not that it would go sideways, but there's all these variables that go in on how to communicate, and they're not always going to be right.
Right.
But it just had me thinking about that. It's like, yeah, you have a phone call. It's like, hey, we could be taking a quarterback tonight. Doesn't end up happening. It's like, well, they're looking to replace at some point.
Yeah, and there's also, like, going back to reality.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit of, like, hey, you may not like what you hear, but, like, it's reality. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'd love to change reality, but reality is one thing. It's reality.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Michigan State.
Yeah, let's go.
They go 0 for 5. Why didn't you just go to Ann Arbor?
So, tremendous question. And this would probably pain some Michigan State people, but growing up in the state of Michigan, like, if U of M offered me, I mean, come on.
You're going.
That's a iconic program. And at the time, as Chad Henney's the starting quarterback, I mean, they pro-style offense, iconic coach in Lloyd Carr. Like, they did things in a way that people respected. So, yeah, but you have to understand, I was so far not on their radar. Like, I was nobody. And they had Ryan Mallett.
Yeah.
Ryan Mallett had committed to them and was signed, and for good reason. I mean, the guy was so talented. And once you get a Ryan Mallett, you're not even looking. And so, yeah, I wasn't even – I don't think I was – we have to go back to that staff someday and ask him, like, do you even know who I was? I don't think they even knew.
Lloyd
So you
Carr,
didn't
them?
have an offer.
You didn't have an offer.
Not even close. Like, I didn't even speak to somebody from the University of Michigan. Like, I was so far off their radar. The only reason Michigan State came in was because their quarterback, their Ryan Mallett, decommitted.
Mm-hmm.
So they were left kind of at the altar in December, like, what do we do? Because I walked off the field of my last high school game with no scholarship offers. So all my recruiting happened in like the last month of the
That's
recruiting
insane.
process. Yeah.
So were you fully expecting to still continue your football career even if you didn't get an offer?
So when I was playing, I was very aware that like Division III was on the table.
But what about walking on?
Nah, I was thinking I want to play. So to just like hold a clipboard and do the signals and like live the dream of a Division I play, that didn't interest me. I want to compete. So I visited the Ivy League. I flew to Princeton, I remember, on like Thanksgiving weekend. My dad and I went to Princeton and we walked around the campus just to like, hey, if we can't get a scholarship, maybe the scholarship is to get into a school of this kind of prestige. So that I was very serious about the Ivy League. I remember flying to UConn, and UConn said like we'd maybe offer you like a gray shirt. Like it was crazy. Like just standing there like, please offer me a scholarship. I'd like to play for you. And they'd be like, we're just not sure.
God,
Sitting with Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, and he's like, we're not going to offer you, but we would give you a walk-on spot. And my dad goes, how much would it cost to go to Northwestern? Just as a dad, knowing I have to pay for it. He goes, I'll never forget. He was being honest. He said tuition at the time, 2006, was $38,000 a year just for tuition. And my dad's like, it's going to be tough, coach. Like, I got to be honest. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be hard.
So, so but it's interesting because then you go play against Northwestern.
Mm.
And it was just such an odd dynamic where it's like, I was begging you to play for you.
Right.
And now I'm playing against you.
And now I'm dropping 28 on you
It
right
was
now
like
in
a
the
unique
first quarter.
dynamic. Where
Yeah.
you're like, I was
Dropping
begging.
Dropping dimes. And when growing up, where was the line for you? Were you Michigan State or were you Michigan?
It was neutral. My mom went to Iowa.
I don't think you can do that.
Her dad played at Iowa. So I was a Hawkeye fan. And I was another school. I went through for them, worked out for them, toured the facility, like the offer never came. And I can't say enough how everything worked out. But it was kind of just neutral. Watched Michigan State, and just kind of enjoyed watching good football because my team was really Iowa was who I was watching.
What was your size as a senior?
So I was definitely undersized. I played my last game my junior year at like 6'1.5", 158 pounds. I remember that being I'm light.
Yeah.
And then
Scraggly.
to add insult to injury, my 40 was like a 5'2".
Nice.
So I was like skinny, short, and slow. So like you're not doing it.
He can throw the ball a little bit, but
Yeah. So then my senior year, I played at like 170. And I remember going to Michigan State and stepping on the scales now post-senior year at like 180 and just being thrilled. So I didn't look the part, didn't have a Division I body. My dad always thought I'd be a baseball player because he just assumed I wouldn't be big enough to play football. But I remember at my signing day event where the head coach talks about all the guys they signed, and he said, Cousins reminds me of when I was a DB coach for Michigan State with Nick Saban, and we were coaching against Drew Brees at Purdue. Watching his high school tape, his ability to have like different arm angles and throw with timing and accuracy and see the field, he goes, it reminds me of Drew Brees. And I thought, if I remind him of Drew Brees, like that's at least I'm on the right track, you know? Yeah. So that was a good sign.
Well, brother, you've had a hell of a run.
Thank you. Hopefully there's more to go. The best is yet to come.
Yes. How long do you want to play?
Long time.
Perfect world, crystal ball.
I'm a 1 year at a time guy, but for the sake of the podcast, I'd like to play out this contract and maybe do one more. So,
into 40. I
think so. I think, if my boys are doing well, if they enjoy the boys will honestly have a big play in it, because if they're saying, hey, Dad, we'd really like to have you stop, I'm done. But if they're like, Dad, you can't quit, you got to go. Like, we're enjoying this. This is fun. I would go. So we're just going to see how they view it. But they love it right now. And it was funny when we signed the contract here. My agent, as we were leaving the building, he just jokingly, I think he even said it to Minnesota too when we first moved there. He tapped him on the shoulder and he said, all right, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you. And he goes, we'll see you in 3 years for the extension. Yeah. So I thought that was a good line.
Hell
but we'll see, 1 year at a time.
I know I'm kind of jumping back up. I know we got to wrap it up. But
good.
When this news comes in about the draft and everything like that, how did you approach talking with Penix? And
I just texted him that night. I just wanted him to have my number because, just to have a resource to reach out to of like, hey, where should I live? I just want to make sure you have my number if you need anything. and then just congratulated him on an awesome college career. You know, like lived it. It's hard to do, and what he did is at the top of the top in terms of the college success. So just wanted to let him know that I have the utmost respect for what he's done, and they're ready to get to work, and I'm here if he needs me. So he's got my number, and he gets in I think this weekend for rookie minicamp, so I'll be able to see him now, and we'll get going.
Yeah, man. Do any of you guys have a question for Kirk?
Have you heard the rookie minicamp schedule?
It's light.
It is light.
It's light. It's when we were rookies.
I had to do 2 rookie mini camps as a practice squad. I was so pissed off.
Your
bro.
second year.
My
That
second
is
year.
the worst.
KO came up to me because
Fans won't really understand.
Yeah, no. KO came up to me.
Explain why you had to do 2
Okay,
first.
so I had to do 2 rookie mini camps because I was practice squad my first year, and I only played the very last game of the season. So which isn't, you need 3 games to have accredited season to mean like you're not a rookie anymore. And so the next year, since I only had 1 game in 2013, the next year we have a few OTA days, and it's not even on my radar. And KO comes up to me, the linebacker coach, and he's like, hey, just want to let you know, like, we want you to participate in the second rookie minicamp. And, bro, I was so tired.
The theory
You said yes,
is,
sir, though.
I did say yes, sir. And he knew it was KO's first year, too.
Yeah.
And
it's hard because you have a full week of work. You've already
Yeah.
done 4 full days, and you have to keep going. And then when the weekend is over of rookie minicamp, you have to start another week.
yeah.
And rookie minicamp is maybe the most dangerous weekend of the entire
You're
year.
playing with clueless people,
It's a
and it's
bloodbath.
2-a-days.
Yes.
KO spun
it's
it,
the
which
basics.
ultimately is it. It was
why
the
they
right
do it
thing.
is for development. Is why
And
they do
he
it.
was like, they only drafted Trent Murphy. He was an outside backer. He's a pass rusher. He's like, we didn't draft any. Hey, the good news, we didn't draft any
That's
linebackers.
a good way to
So he
spin
was
it.
like, myself, I'll get to work with you one-on-one versus like you have like Keenan, Perry Riley, all these guys that were ahead of me anyway. We'll get to do some one-on-one work together. Hazlitt will get to see you more. You'll get to communicate. And honestly, the rookie minicamp, like knowing the installs and knowing the calls and being demonstrative out there, actually helped me go from 3 on the depth chart to then I was 1 on special teams across the board. Because Haz came up to me and was like, Comp, you can play, right? I'm thinking in my head like, yeah, just, I need an opportunity. And he's like, you do real well out here. He's like, where are you at on the special teams depth chart? I'm like, the fucking bottom. The next day, bro, I'm 1
That's
across the
interesting.
board.
No shit.
That's interesting.
And that second rookie minicamp actually was,
a
a
springboard.
big piece of
But it's a
why I got to have
grind.
career.
It's a grind if you feel disrespected because you're kind of
True.
being sent down. It's like being sent down to the minor leagues for a weekend.
Sure,
and
for sure.
But yeah, for me, it was arrive Thursday, get a physical, 2-a-day Friday, 2-a-day Saturday, 1-a-day Sunday. So 5 practices in 3 days. And it was like drinking through a fire hose. It was a lot, but now it's 1 practice and meetings.
And that
So
and a
it's
developmental
different.
day.
Yeah, and like a meeting about how to take care of your finances.
That first time coming in a rookie minicamp and just like trying to digest a playbook. And then I don't know about y'all, but the techniques for an offensive line, they want you to do techniques totally different than you had before. It's like it's actually a scary situation.
Correct. It's interesting how good you can be at football if you're doing it the way you've always done it. And the minute someone says, okay, now do it from the pistol, something you've never done from the pistol, or okay, now do it with a motion going this way, or okay, now do it, take this angle step instead of that angle step, and you feel like you've never played the position before.
So
Not only that, but also the comments like, hey, I don't know how you did it at Michigan State. You know what I mean? Like,
Cutting.
we do it a little bit different here,
Yeah.
bud. You're just like, it's shit.
This ain't the Big Ten anymore, brother.
Yeah.
I never thought about that, like you being in the pistol as opposed to being under center, how that could be so different for you.
It just,
And
like the
motions.
footwork and where you step, the angles you take, you're like, the play's the same, but I feel like it's a whole new offense I'm learning. So there's a lot of pieces to starting over where you're like, this is going to take time because I'm not the 13-year vet right now in this moment. I can get there, but right now I'm having to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the deal.
Yeah, man. Dude, really appreciate you. You know
Yeah.
how I feel about you. I
Yeah,
really
thanks for
appreciate
coming
you
through.
for doing this.
It's great to get on and catch up. And
yeah,
now I got to ask Jonathan about the watches.
Yeah.
No question.
I'm
It's time
telling
to scratch that itch. I will tell you this, Kirk.
Yeah, scratch that itch, bro.
This is the second time
I
you've-
might get a watch.
This is the second time you've come on this podcast, and the man that you are, being able to work through these processes, going through trials and tribulations, and being able to flip the switch, being like, I can't control this, and moving forward is like,
I
it's
appreciate
a
you saying
special
that.
quality to have.
I was thinking about that for my boys, that like my boys are not going to have everything go their way in their life. And I'm excited to say, what do you think Dad did when he tore his Achilles? or like, what do you think dad did, when they tell him he's not good enough? Like, welcome to life, boys. Like, this isn't, and if I had everything go my way, if I was the first overall pick and everyone told me how great I was my whole career, I don't have much to tell my boys. Like, my boys can't learn from that. So
Right.
I think the blessing in similar to having to go to rookie minicamp, like there's a blessing there for raising my boys that they will be gritty when they're 18, because I feel like they're going to look at my story and be able to say, like, that's who we are. Like, that's what we do, as opposed to, oh, we don't know what that's like,
Yeah, man.
So,
Cousins
Yeah.
never say die.
yeah, never say die, man. Just dig deeper, and you can be disappointed, but you can't be discouraged. You got to keep going. All right, guys.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you.